Welcome to the Service Delivery Committee for the 23rd of November. Apologies.
Councillor Finch.
Councillor Finch. Any other? No. Second. Mayor's seconded. Councillor Payne. All those in favour? Declarations of interest? None. Right, we will go on to item number 1, which is a item for information. It's the verbal submissions for the draft West Otago Reserve Management Plan. Mike, I'll hand it over to you and you can run it.
Chairman, so just be on the lines of Lloyd actually, and I get us to find a way to do that. So maybe you might skip to the first one on the list. And the third one might be best. There is first come up to me.
Come up here.
Front of the
Hi, I'm Fiona Hancock and I'm a director of West Otago Health Limited, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today to the council. And it's my opportunity to speak to our submission, which is to in favour of revoking the Tapanui Golf Course Reserve. And I will take it that you've read it. So to date, we appreciate the help that we've received from the CDP in the initial completion of the George and Caroline Edgar Memorial Medical Centre in 2014 and the Ribbonwood Country Home in 2016. We've had a bed occupancy rate in the high 90s, and this led us to the extension of Ribbonwood this year in July and another 5 beds. We have 17 residents at present and a lot of interest to fill the final 2 beds. We have 4 independent cottages with a waiting list. And within our business, we employ 40 people. The turnover is approximately 2.5 million and 1.8 million of that goes out in wages. Revoking the reserve would allow access and opportunity to develop the 1 hectare of land adjacent. It's a way of future-proofing our business and allowing community a variety of affordable retirement options and homes for our staff. A strategic discussion is planned with the board, the trustees, staff, and with community input, and to look at options in this in the new year. We see the aesthetics of the Tapanui Golf Course that bounds right round our Riverwood Country Home as a really positive feature and something we would like to continue. I'd like to thank you for your consideration today, and if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Councillor Whelan.
Thank you, Fiona.
The area that you want revoked, it's just we've got a and
That immediate
small area there.
We've got a small area. I think it's a total area. The only area that we need is just the initial area in front of the medical centre.
Up to the dotted line.
Yeah, up to the dotted line. Well, I mean, whatever we take will not affect the Tapanui Golf Course. We certainly aren't going to expect them to shift the tee. It will be static, it will stay as normal. Everything will stay the same. It's just, we just need that small bit of land so you can access one.
So would you envisage that then becoming, that area, piece of land becoming property of the West Otago Health?
If that was, yes, if that worked in with our submission, that small piece of land.
Would it be acceptable if the reserve status was lifted on that section, that actually just became public road, public access?
Yeah, I presume that would be fine, but it would add access for us to get into Riverwood and our new extension. I think it would be more appropriate as a public road. I don't know if as a public road would be that good, because it's really a private area, and we would be wanting access into that further expansion, so. Yeah, I don't-
Is there any, sorry, just to interrupt, Fee, is there any opportunity for just me to interject, or should I speak after you?
yeah, well, can you? That'd be great.
Yeah, look, I guess in terms of the reason for wanting to make that private is obviously in times of a medical emergency, there may be a requirement to restrict access for the public through that point. And that, you know, I guess if it was private, that would give us better powers to be able to do so. Would be my thoughts on that. Obviously, if we were able to have it freehold, then we would ensure that there would be a right of way for the public, in particular for the golf course to continue to have access to their tee and whatnot through there. But yeah, it's really, I suppose, if there was a medical emergency, I suppose allow us to do that, but also to secure uninterrupted access to the adjacent 1 hectare, which is, you know, key to the future viability of the business.
You see the helicopter pad is just situated there, that's why in an emergency, it's valuable to our business.
And if I can just ask, then presumably you've already got the main access there at the front,
Yes,
as it were, of the building.
yes.
So does the likes of your emergency services tend more to come in through that driveway?
Either way at this stage, but it just that would add quicker access. Yeah.
And the development you're thinking of on 1 hectare site, what would it just be? Serviced cottages or independent living, or
Yeah.
what sort of development would be proposing there?
There's opportunities. What we want to do is affordable accommodation. So we will be looking at a mixture of opportunities in the sense that maybe more independent flats or small bungalows. So there'll be a variety so that we can meet the needs of our community. So, but we want it, we will look into that, but we want it to be affordable for our people. It's got to be sustainable for our business, but it's not going to be a money-making part of our business. It's really important.
Thank you.
Any further questions for the owner? Councillor Hurley.
Thank you for coming along. Thanks for taking the time. And I'll ask the other presenters the same question. I'm presuming, given the map we've got and the locality of the land that we're talking about for your next development, and the main medical centre there, your relationship with the golf club and between you guys all seems really good, which is great. It's just a matter of actually getting that line right, where that boundary line's going to go. It's the critical part. It's just to get that right, isn't it?
Yeah, well, definitely for them, if they're concerned that, you know, I think for us, there is a general understanding that we want them there and that site will not be, you know, moved at all. But if they need to have something written down and signed, we're happy to do that as well, John. So yeah, you know, yeah, we do. We will. I think. We wait to hear from Richard and Jules, but I'm sure we all want the betterment of our community.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. Any further questions? Thank you.
Yeah.
Do we want to go to 1 2 1?
A wee bit of land there.
Richard and Julian. Got all the way up here.
Who are you going to first?
He'll just have to start his video and his sound.
Yeah, he's there still.
Yeah, there he is.
Welcome, Lloyd. The floor is yours.
Kia ora koutou, hui mai nei. Sorry, I can't see who's in the top seat there. Anyway, thanks very much. So, to the chair and the councillors and the fellow submitters and the general public, thank you for the opportunity to submit to the West Otago Reserve Management Plan. I must say I've feeling a little bit like I'm zooming in back home. So to be fair, your chambers is still probably my home. That's where I was. That's where I started. So thank you all very much for the opportunity to submit to the Reserve Management Plan. I understand your processes that you're going through. So first of all, I've got two that I'd like to talk on first, and I'm just going to have a wee bit of a prelim, and then I'll just talk about each one individually, and hopefully if you guys have got questions, I can answer them. So basically, our family made the big move from Waikuikui to Tapanui about 25 years ago. It was quite a big move, about 8.5 kilometres, and we've settled in. We've been in Tapanui ever since. Tapanui. Sorry, I'm holding my phone while I'm doing this. Tapanui and West Otago in general is an awesome community to live and work in. This is very apparent as you drive into town. Generally well-attended gardens, plots well maintained by the community, excellent facilities, a significant community centre funded and managed by the community with Clutha District Council support, a recently updated swimming pool funded for and maintained by the community with help from the Clutha District Council, an excellent health facility funded for and managed by the community with not insignificant help from the Clutha District Council to get us there. Plans are in progress for a playground update, establishment of trails, biking and walking trails, etc., etc. What makes Tapanui and West Otago a great place to live and bring up a family? It is this very partnership, the partnership between the community and the Clutha District Council. It is these community-led projects supported by the council is keeping it local. It's localism working at its best. Today I have two new possible initiatives to talk to you about. I'll take my submissions as both being read. They're both pretty short and to the point. Not too much extra reading in there for you from a man who's used to getting very long papers. So first of all, I'd just like to start on Hancock's Park and just a few comments. Hancock's Park has been there for as long as I can remember. No one knows much about it or even realise that it's council-owned area beyond the small fenced-off paddock with a sign in it. Hancock's Park has been underloved and undervalued for a long time. Your Our Place West Otago initiative has the ability to help restore the Māori or the spirit of Hancock's Park. It has, albeit unkept, old heritage trees. There's a green area to the northeast of Tapanui, a family area. There's several options for development of the park for the benefit of the families of Tapanui and West Otago and the many tourists that are about to arrive to town. Given the consultation, in the consultation document that's highlighting the potential development of this area into houses. This concerns me. My main concerns are, in the end, you can only sell land once. If the park is developed into housing, will there be a reduction in rates from the sale of the land? Will the sale of the land be replaced with other land? Will there be a benefit to anyone other than the few people who may get the opportunity to buy a section at under market values? Is there a housing issue in Tapanui, or is Tapanui catching up with the demand? There are several houses for sale and for rent, with many opportunities in Tapanui at this time. There's many empty sections in town that could be, with some help, could be turned into residential opportunities. Green spaces have been well documented and essential for the well-being of our people. Let's recognise that now and for the future. Give the communities the opportunity to turn this area into something special. The community just needs a signal to allow that to happen. So thank you for listening to me. I'll take my submission as read, and I'm happy to take any comments on Hancock's Park.
Thank you, Lord.
Sorry, I've got my finger over my camera.
Any questions for Lord, please?
Great submission.
Ian Cadogan.
Thank you, Chair. Carol Lloyd, welcome home. We did a really extensive consultation process, and overwhelmingly what I felt was one of the strong things that came through was the need for housing. So consequently, if it's not Hancock's Park, what other options do council have? Are you saying no to any development per se, or particularly Hancock Park?
No, I'm saying that development of Tapanui will become under commercial basis. So there's plenty of opportunity. There's plenty of land in Tapanui that is already sections that are available for building on. We just got to be able, the council just needs to help to enable those sections to become available. There's also there's 2 or 3 areas that there's been landowners that have expressed an interest in doing developments of different sizes. What I'm saying is Hancock Park, being council land, does not need to go into houses to benefit few. And you might notice on the second page of my submission, in that very same consultation that you did, there was only 31% of the people were in favour of full development of Hancock's Park. Most of them were actually in favour of maintaining it either as it is or as either in a natural state or as a recreational facility or a mixed type facility. So I think that's pretty clear. That's a pretty clear mandate come from the community.
Any further questions for Lloyd? It doesn't appear to be. Lloyd, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair Bruce.
You have a good day.
Unfortunately, I'm not finished yet. Good try, Brucey. This one I haven't prepared quite as well. So the pound paddock. So the pound paddock is, if you're all aware, where the pound paddock is, where would it be? The southwestern end of Tapanui, just right on the edge of town. I guess this one's really right up my alleyway. The reason I put the submission is one of the options in the reserve management plan was to sell the pound paddock, and just like Hancock's Park, I'm really concerned. It's easy to sell stuff, but it's not that easy to make sure that the benefit from that sale stays within the community. And I also see the pound paddock as being offers an ideal opportunity to invest in our environment. Biodiversity and natural solutions are not only options, but the first choice option for maintaining healthy waterways. In fact, under Te Mana o Te Wai, it's a requirement to put the waterway first. The pound paddock is an opportunity to showcase the protection, restoration of waterways in our area. It actually gives the CDC the ability to give Patterson's Creek its Māori back or its spirit back after being confined to a pipe in a rather unattractive deep drain as it comes out of the town. I believe, given time, the town can be developed into firstly a wetland, the community wetland, or a riparian protected area that can showcase biodiversity and the environment working in tandem with an urban setting, and also working in conjunction with the community as we go on. There's background talk around doing dog parks or other opportunities in the area. It's around about 1 hectare, that area, and I think it's just a real good opportunity that the Clutha District Council can actually stand up and take a lead in actually investing in a real proper biodiversity opportunity in a rural setting in the Clutha District, to show that the Clutha District Council actually puts the environment at the top and natural waterways at the top of the list, the hierarchy. I've not spoken with the leaseholder, which is pretty much right just down the road. It's just something that I walk past every day, or most days, and the opportunity's been there for a long time. We've come close to doing planting around the Patterson Creek in this zone, but it's never there's never been the will there for it to actually happen with a couple of the junior schools in Tapanui. I would like to have the opportunity to A, make that happen. B, I'm probably in a position where I can pull some strings to get some plants on the ground. Also work with the other community for the best to use the remaining area in a way for the community. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.
And I won't go home until there's 2 questions.
Mayor Cadogan.
Yeah, Lloyd, I just had an epiphany moment. Could you envisage that the council could gift the land, and considering that the regional council is the preeminent environmental custodian, that the regional council may pick up the development cost?
I'm no on that one, Mayor Brian, sorry. Yeah, but I certainly could envisage that if the land was available, that the community with a wide range of stakeholders could be involved in the development of the area, most definitely. And there is funding, there are funding opportunities there, definitely. Both the regional council would be one opportunity, as would CDC, as with other significant biodiversity projects in the area.
I just said it was a real good collaborative opportunity.
Awesome. I agree very much. Thank you.
Lloyd, any further questions? Councillor Herbert.
Thank you, Lloyd, and just on that, all these things are about the people involved and getting the right people sitting on the table. And whilst the mayor may have said that in jest a little bit, I'm not sure, but would you, like, in all seriousness, if you had to drive that as a community leader, taking off your RC hat, or putting it aside for one moment, actually leading that as a local person? The development of the pound paddock, be it as a small committee and you know, taking it forward with your knowledge.
Thank you, John. I've just struggled to pick that up. It was a wee bit echoey, but you know, I'm pretty I'd be more than happy to lead the project. I think the first instance is we don't want the paddock to be sold, because then there's a lost opportunity. But there's definitely funding opportunities which are probably very short-lived at this stage, that we, you know, to be able to kick it off, if that was the case, we could get a pretty good mutual benefit within the community. And the ongoing stuff, I believe we could easily form a committee of 3 or 4 to develop the remainder and look after it. This pound paddock is like 100 metres from my house. So it's, you know, it's sort of like right in my neighbourhood. Yeah.
Thank you, Lloyd. My apologies. They try and stick me in the furthest corner, so I don't speak too much.
So sorry, John, I didn't pick that up, even though it's been a pleasure.
Any further questions for Lloyd? If not, thank you, Lloyd. It's always a pleasure here, and there you go.
Thank you all very much for the opportunity to talk to you, and I wish you well in your deliberations, and hope to see you again in the near future. Thank you.
Right, who have we got next? Will Wise. Are you online? Or whatever the IT term for that is?
Okay. Yes, hi, I am online. Thank you, Mayor. I just wasn't sure if it was me turning myself on or somebody else. Try and start the video. The host has stopped my video. That's okay. You don't need to see my face. As long as you can hear me, that's the main thing. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of the West Otago Health Trust submission on the West Otago Reserve Management Plan. Yeah, look, I suppose I'm probably going to reiterate a couple of points that Fiona has made, and hopefully not repeat ourselves too much. But first of all, thank you to the Clutha District Council for the ongoing support to our organisation. I mean, we've benefited hugely from your support, both monetary and in terms of guidance and whatnot as well. So, and for the continued support, and it continues to benefit our community. We've spoken a little bit to why we're looking to secure that adjacent block of land. Yes, we do have some sustainability goals, both financially and socially, and we see that block of land as tantamount to helping us meet the future needs of the community. currently we have a draft sale and purchase, a conditional sale and purchase for the 1 hectare. And just with the council at the moment, we are waiting on a submission to gain right of way. I guess, gaining the right of way will allow us to go unconditional on that sale and purchase and secure the land, notably with funds that have been made available from the council. So thank you again for that. The next step really for us as an organisation is to gain full control of that bit of land, just for uninterrupted access. If it was a public road, then there could be issues potentially arise with neighbours or further development further down that reserve at some point in time. Admittedly, acknowledging there is private land further down there. So that is one thing I think that we probably all need to, or the council in particular, need to consider in terms of what happens to the rest of that reserve status land. Does the golf course absorb that into the golf course reserve? And that would probably be the health trust's position, I suppose, for that reserve land to continue to be there, if we were able to gain private ownership of that first bit would sort of see a little bit pointless. But so just to date, we've undertaken 2 major projects. Obviously, notably the initial build of the George and Carolyn Egan Memorial Building, and more recently a recent extension, a $1.645 million build, and through both of those projects we've managed to do that on time and on budget. So I think we've certainly built a track record of our ability to do things that we say that we're going to do and research them well. So rest assured, the decisions are our position around ensuring that this land is freehold are well positioned and well considered. And in particular, we have been in extensive dialogue with the golf course as important neighbours, and willing to continue to work with them to ensure that they wouldn't be disadvantaged. There would be no change to the rating of the golf course and things like that. We can't really talk to any depth around what we intend to do with the land, because we do need to do some extensive planning on that, which we're looking at doing in February next year. But really, from the West Otago Health Trust point of view, we see that having full control over that first bit of land up to the gate, the current gate or fence area, is tantamount to our future viability. Thank you very much for listening. Any questions?
Questions for Will? Councillor Herbert.
Mine's not a question, Mr. Chair. Just to clarify for the people sitting here, just remember that we're hearing from 2 different organisations here. One is West Otago Health Trust, which is Will Byers. They own the property, they own the land, and they own the building. And FEMA falls from West Otago Health Company, which is their tenant and runs the activity. But there's 2 separate things here. One's West Otago Health Trust, and one's West Otago Health Company. That's why you've heard from 2 different things. If there's a wee bit of confusion there.
Yes. Thank you, John. And so the West Otago Health Company is the commercial venture operating out of those buildings, of which the West Otago Health Trust is 100% owner of West Otago Health Limited. So yes, they are our tenants, but we appoint the directors, and essentially is 100% owned by the trust, which is owned by the community of West Otago.
Any further questions? If not, thank you, Will.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have Richard Young and Julianne Beattie from the Tapanui Golf Course. The microphone is yours.
Can you hear me all right? Again, thanks very much for giving us the opportunity to come and speak to you today in support of our submission. Look, again, and I think we're pretty clear that we're not really talking across purpose here about what we want to achieve. We want the same thing, and that's certainly the golf club's modus operandi. We don't want to hinder the expansion of the health facility, because the community benefit that would bring will be huge. At the same time, we would think it's our golf course gives the community a great health and well-being opportunity for exercise, mental health, and all those types of things. So we want to try and maintain our 18-hole course. Julian's going to talk a wee bit about that in a minute. I just want some clarity perhaps from Mike, that the block of land we're talking about here is part of the reserve. Isn't it?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yep,
Okay, cool.
it's a separate parcel of land, but
Within the reserve. So those that can remember, the Honourable J.B. Gordon, I think, got that done. So one of our life members said to me the other day that he didn't do a lot of stuff, but he did do that. So we need to thank him for that reserve status on that piece of land. Glenn.
Yeah, so the 18-hole status of the golf club is really important for us obtaining events through Otago Golf and also national events. If we were to lose that 18-hole status, or even a length, a part of that hole would reduce our course rating. Otago events and national events like your course rating to be quite high, and so losing that would reduce our course rating, which means that they wouldn't necessarily like to come to the golf course to use it. We got a letter from Otago Golf, New Zealand Golf, because Otago Golf has become part of New Zealand Golf now, to support the submission, to say that it is very, in South Otago, there's actually only 2 18-hole courses, so there's Balclutha and ourselves, which we do very well for a small country club to maintain that 18-hole status, which gets big events coming to our local community, brings in, our green fees box over the summertime it's amazing actually where people come to play at Te Pānui, and to play the 18 holes, which is always kept beautifully, and credit to all our volunteers that work on the course as well. But maintaining access into that number 5 hole is also very important for us too, because it's the only safe location for our tractor to access that side of the golf course. So that would be very important for us to maintain as well, that go to the trust side of things.
I think that's really important, is that if you know the area, if we came out from number 8 into the car park of the golf club, it's a dangerous we realise, and to be moving machinery through there would be bloody dangerous. So, to gain access up into those gates for us is important, both for the golfers crossing from one side of the road to the other, but also to get our machinery across safely to maintain both sides of the course. We've got absolutely no issue with revoking the status up to the gate, so we can maintain our tee, maintain our 18-hole course, as long as we can have the access through there for our golfers and tractors. Happy to take any questions.
Questions?
Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming along once again. Hey, can you just tell us about your members you've got, men's numbers, and how many times the court might be used for lots of pennants and the 18-hole capability of it during the year?
So I think we've got about approximately about 85 members. About that. Haven't looked on there recently, but they come and go a bit. The ladies play on a Tuesday, the men play on a Saturday. Well, we're actually trying to not be men and ladies, so we have Tuesday golf and Saturday golf, so we like to intermingle. Pennants, we have pennants, our local round, the South Otago round. We have at least 1 round in our course a year, but then once every 4 years it hits South Otago, so we'll have the South Otago finals, the Otago finals at the golf course. We also have Central versus South Otago ladies every 2nd year. It alternates with Roxburgh. There's several times a year that it's We also provide the opportunity for organisations to run tournaments as well. So we've actually proposed a tournament in February for the Health Trust to run to raise money for their organisation as well, so.
We like our course being used for penance, but a good indication of how successful we are is if we're playing penance somewhere else, we should play, can't play on home course, so.
We'd rather play elsewhere.
Any further questions? Councillor Kennedy.
Just a question on if the reserve is revoked, that piece of land, are you quite happy with it being documented that it become under the health trust with the clause of the golf club having full right away?
Yeah, access for players and machinery
Yeah.
to the gates.
Are you quite happy with that?
Yes.
Further questions? Councillor Wheeler.
Thank you, through Mr. Chairman. Thanks. Coming along, just the T to the number 5, that number 5 hole is just beyond the gate, is that right? Correct. How far?
Oh, 10 metres.
10 metres.
Yeah.
Further questions? If not, thank you very much.
Very good, thank you.
Right, our next submitter is David Edgar from the personal submission. Welcome, David.
Chairman, councillors. My submission is regards to Gully Reserve. The last few years we've been maintaining that. So basically I'm going to say what I think we should do to it. Toilets need painting. Last time they were painted, I painted the walls and the roof, and Michelle Kennedy painted the inside, and that's probably 10 years ago. I'm not getting up on the roof now. You're going to have to get someone else to do that. I'll probably do the walls, but yeah. It's used on motorhomes. I've got 31 motorhomes use that a year, which is very good, and I wouldn't like to see that stop. They pick up rubbish, and we never have any trouble with hoons when motorhomes are there. It's a popular place for the town dogs to let out for a run. Dogs being dogs, they do what they do there. On the track dock have a counter. Now, the counter used to be the trip thing. You could go up and see how many people were using the track. Now they've got sophisticated equipment, and they've got to come and download it onto their phone, and then it goes to Wellington. They can't tell you the numbers that are using the track. It's a bit upset. Well, not upset. The car park, we had it nice and smooth. The Dutch carried it. 5-7 days later, it was back to square one. I did it again. Again, we had a short period of time, and it was back to square one. My wife tells me, Mum, we had to do it again. It was a waste of time going up there to have it. And I think when Mike Golson was there, he would have seen what it was like. I probably would like a camera there, and then I would Dutch it again. And then you can see who's doing the wheelies and all that, so that they can take appropriate action. We cut the grass with a tractor and a mower. A mower, it's 7 disc mowers, about 7 or 8 feet wide. So there's not much point putting in posts or a chain fence or anything like that, because there's no way I can get around it or under it. You understand what I'm saying? At the moment, it's quite simple. And when we mow it, my wife sits at the gate in the vehicle, because I had a run in with a person with a dog one night who didn't get the dog into the truck as quick as I thought he should have. I asked him if he valued the dog's legs, but the mower never cover on it. And he said he did. I was told I should have a sign up when I'm mowing, and I asked him if his dog could breed. And things don't feel good. Anyway, that's all I've got to say. I don't really think it's not Donwell Park, but it's tight. You understand what I'm saying? And when you mow with a track, you don't do the same as what the contract. Because no 7 foot swipe, it's not smooth. Any questions?
Any questions? Councillor.
Mine's a comment, look, just thank you to you and your family for all the work you've done from decades now, with everyone in the community, so that's why. Thank you.
Just remember, I'm getting old.
You'll be right.
Must be mine. Yeah. So yeah, just following up from Councillor Kirk, I want to thank, not only you, but that ongoing commitment's really appreciated, but I want to thank all submitters today because it's refreshing to see a community working in unison. Everyone charging ahead for the good of everyone, so thanks to all this good effort. And might I suggest that this year you get Michelle to paint the roof?
It's not painting the roof that worries me, it's the fall when I land.
Thank you, David.
Sorry,
Another question.
I'll also, thanks very much, David. When the camper vans use the area, do they park on sort of the gravel area or do they go up?
They park wherever it suits, and they don't do any damage. They used to, I think it's about 28 years ago they started using it. I can't honestly tell you. So I was a contact person with the Motorhome Association. Since then, the council have taken it over. But they didn't all ring to say they were there. You go up there and be one there, and that doesn't matter. It's being used. And it is a good spot in the summertime. Sometimes they can't be in the winter time. I bet it's cold. But it's no fun.
Do they leave a donation or anything like that?
Well, so you can't charge for not providing. Can you?
I'm just asking.
Yeah,
whether they, I'm not suggesting.
They're supposed to be self-contained.
Yeah, no, just.
Whether they use the toilets or not, I don't know.
So, there's plenty of parking area.
The most we had is, I think we had 12 one night up. And that was when they had their annual meeting before, and that's what they had.
Does the grass get damaged at all with the homes? So,
Oh, but the homes, yes.
Yeah.
Especially in the winter.
so would it be useful? You don't want to
Blocked
off, but if there was if you still had access through a gate or something like that.
No, I couldn't. Only the first swipes down the side of the road, okay, and I sent Jules with an email some time ago. There's power poles in the yard at home, and I thought about taking them up in the winter time, and I could take them away in the summer. Understand what I'm saying? Yeah. But in June we were away for a month, and the damage was done while we were in. It was a bit slow. But, you know, we had a fall of snow at the end of June, about 9 inches. I went up there and his 2 4-wheel drives well and truly off the road. The gate was off its hinges and they put it back on. Yet the post that was chained to was lying on the ground. And I pulled the 2 4-wheel drives out. I expressed my opinion to them. And I went, I didn't tell you the risk. So
Yeah. Did they offer to pay you anything for yourself?
No. But they left a very good shackle up there, which I found about 3 days later. Okay.
So a small recompense, I'd say.
Any further questions? Councillor Mackie, so, well, thank you, David. No, you don't express any opinions. Yeah.
Thanks for
that. So that's it for the submitters for item 1. Engagement, so we'll go to item 2, page 15, which is the draft Milton Reserve Management Act. It's an item for decision. Mike Goldsmith again, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll just note, just to clarify that this item relates to the other reserve management plan, it's Milton, but that it's at a slightly different stage. There's different phases to the consultation required to create or review a reserve management plan. So we're at the end of part 1 in regards to Milton. So what we've done is we've gone out and said that we're going to review the RMP, the management plan, and this item summarises the feedback that we've had on that. stage. And based on that feedback and other information, we have developed a draft reserve management plan for consultation. So as I say, it's a two-stage. So then what we're asking here is to get your feedback on that draft and then take it out.
Questions? Councillor Barron.
I wasn't here in 2017, but reading the management plan in 2017, I couldn't find any reference to cabins being part of that plan.
Yeah, it's correct. But and I think the second review probably wouldn't either really about whether or not a campground is to be divided for. That was the extent of that's the RMP provides the framework for certain activities to occur in a reserve. But beyond that, depends on how you deliver that activity and more operation. But saying that there are, as you'll see in the updated plan, there are some policies and objectives that that anyone who's using that reserve should stick to. And that includes leases, etc.
So my understanding there is that because it's designated a camping ground, it was okay to proceed to provide cabins to be used for the camping ground. Is that sort of what the summary of that?
Well, I do, yeah, those through you, Mr. Chairman. Absolutely. So, campgrounds, tents, all the normal activities associated with camping ground is available. And so that's one of the reasons why we wanted to go out with the draft, was to ask the question whether or not a camping ground should be at Taylor Park, because a camping ground has all those range of activities available to it. And if it was to be at Taylor Park, to what extent should it grow, or the area? So this wasn't at a level of detail about those other aspects of what a camping ground does. If you have a camping ground, you should expect certain things, just as any other camping ground, including additional structures that could be put in place, additional ablutions or other facilities. That's what a camping ground is. So that's the point. It doesn't get into the detail of that for the reserve management plan. It simply asks the question, should the activity be allowed and provided?
Okay, so through you, Mr. Councillor Graham, the repercussions of not having that spout out about the cabins has probably led to the pushback of the cabins being relocated in there. And the question I've got now is, should the consultation document have something in there about what the cabins are going to be used for? Because a camping ground, you assume that they're going to be used for campers that come and stay and go. But there's been a lot of talk about them being used for vulnerable people or workers or people that migrants that come into the town as temporary accommodation. So does a camping ground include accommodation for vulnerable people, immigrant workers, or workers that need accommodation? And should that be in the consultation document so that the people that are going to be consulted can form an opinion about what those cabins are going to be used for?
Again, it's pretty simple, through you, Mr. Chairman. It's just a camping ground per se follows the rules associated with camping ground regs, and any customer that comes through the door that is eligible to use a camping ground would use a camping ground. So again, there's no suggestion of either extending or expanding what is by law allowed now for a camping ground, or restricting what is allowed by law. So that's the rules. And yes, there's been conversations out in the community, but at the end of the day, a camping ground is a camping ground. Everybody understands what that is, and how they are used and who the customers are.
Okay, can I just respond to that, because people don't understand that, and that's the confusion that the ratepayers of Milton have. And I'm saying if everyone understood it, we might not have had the rebuff from people, but should we not have a section in the consultation document about what the rules or policies of camping grounds are used for, who can stay in them, and just to clarify it, so that the consultation document is fully open and transparent to the people that it's going to.
I don't think we can determine who stays in the camp.
No, letting the people know who can stay in it, not who stays.
I'll go to count.
If I can, because I have done a wee bit of study on this, so the 2017 Milton Reserve Management Plan included in one of the activities was camping grounds. As soon as you're listed as a camping ground, that means that the camping ground then falls under the camping ground legislation, legal legislation, and then that's defined by toilets, showers, the likes of the facility, the area. Consequently, under that, the Taylor Park camping ground, and a maximum of 100 people that could stay there. And under the present structure where we've got all 10 cabins full, that's still only got to 69. So we were 31 under anything that would have breached and needed the need for further consultation. When it comes to who can start the camping ground, it then flows on to the Human Rights Act and the residential, is it a part of the Residential Tenancy Act or still the camping ground? You cannot exclude on cultural. They have it all there. So while the average person might not take the time to do it, in 2017 they had the option and the opportunity. They didn't take it. And consequently, we have the cabins there now. Following on from this, we have a chance to refresh it, but we will still be shackled as a council to the Camping Ground Act, the RMA, the Human Rights Act, and the like. And that's something that we can't get away from.
Councillor Martin.
Through you, Mr. Chair, and if it's of any good advice, being the former owner of a motor camp in Lawrence for 19 and a half years, and you're only too happy to see people come through the gate prepared to pay to stay the night, whether it was one night or 10 nights. So you never discriminated. If they were happy to pay, we were happy to live.
Councillor Barron.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with all those things, but one of our obligations, not to all the acts that are there and all the policies and rules, one of our obligations is to the ratepayers. And I'd say that's the most important obligation here, is to the ratepayers of the community. And the ratepayers of the community should be given all the information. We should be totally transparent about what the use of the proposed cabins could be used for, may be used for. So the consultation document is not hiding anything, or they don't have to go and look up some act or the RMA. We, as the owners of the camping ground, spell it out nice and easy in layman's terms of what they're going to be consulted on and what the potential risks or benefits of having the cabins in the camping ground are. I'm just saying, I understand all the acts, they're all good. I understand that we want money to come in. And the other thing is that they will produce income, the 10 cabins, that the siting and the use of them should be spelled out.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I just want to say, just as staff putting this together, I don't understand the need to spell out that anybody can be a customer of a camping ground, because they can. So I don't see the need to make that a particular statement, because it's the same anywhere around. And then the question has been reversed about cabins, and it's more about, do you want a camping ground or do you not now, and all that it entails. And you don't have to go very far to see anywhere in the country, including within this district, what a camping ground entails. There are cabins, there are other structures, all that's there. And I would suggest that most New Zealanders understand what a camping ground entails. I do understand the issue with particularly around, the way that people are seeing the cabins, but cabins per se are a normal feature of any camping ground. And I would not like to differentiate, because I would like the community to make a decision or express their opinion, because that's what they do with submissions, on the nature of a camping ground at Taylor Park and all that it entails, and cabins or whatever else that might entail. And then for those submissions to come through, and then you to make a decision, do you want a camping ground at Taylor Park or do you not, with all that entails? And then you'll make the call, because that was the whole point that we had as an issue from staff, is that, operationally, in terms of how things operate, the whole place didn't have structure, and it didn't have certainty. And we just want certainty as to whether or not it's going to be one or it isn't going to be. And this is the process that's occurring. We'll get those views from people. And that would be our response as staff, is not trying to split, separate, do things that are part of what a camping ground is, just given the circumstances. Because, for example, I would not suggest that we go down a pathway that says, yes, you can have a camping ground, but you can't have any cabins. Because where we're heading in terms of, the model that we're looking at for camping grounds, to be successful, a camping ground operator that's investing has to have all opportunity to have a product that is attractive to the customer. And that includes all those sorts of those amenities. And so, from my perspective, from a staff perspective, I'd be looking to say, please don't go down a pathway of providing restrictions within something, but do make a strategic decision whether you wish to accept a camping ground or not. But you won't be doing that until you receive your submission on it and be informed. So that would be our view in terms of where this is going, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Councillor Aaron, I'd suggest that to put restrictions or determine the use of the cabins would be like putting signs up at car sales that this car could be used for A, getting groceries, B, doing wheelies, and a whole list of things. You can't. There's no limit to.
Yes, I'm not suggesting we should do that. The submissions that have been come in from the ratepayers, 111 of the 168 want the cabins removed totally, because they don't understand what the cabins could be used for and the siting of them. So to say that people know is false, because they don't know. Because we think the cabins are great, and we've put all the infrastructure in to put them in there. And the people are saying, we don't want the damn. So you've got to be more clear and transparent in your consultation document. And all I'm saying is, the cabins are great. They want the cabins, and I know that. But they don't want them, they want them for camping ground purposes. And I think we should let them make the choice. And they may say, no, we don't want a camping ground, if they know the purposes that they could be useful.
Councillor Lehman.
So when the consultation document goes out, we're asking, do they want a camping ground or do they not want a camping ground? Do we make it really clear that if they don't want a camping ground, that means that all those people that are currently being tenants at the Taylor Park camping ground for a very long time will no longer be able to camp there because they'll have chosen not to make it a camping ground. So that, to me, is what we need to make clear in our consultation document. A camping ground is a camping ground, and if we choose not to be a camping ground, that means nobody can camp at Taylor Park. And I think that's what the ratepayers need to understand, the definition of a camping ground, and if they vote against the camping ground, well, actually, nobody can camp there. And that would be a sad day for Milton personally, but anyway, that's beside the point. It's going out for consultation.
Any further discussion?
Well, that's the choice they should have. But they've got to have the information to be able to make that decision, and the information is not in the consultation document for them to make that decision. Because like many don't think.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just, Mike and I are looking at each other, and I was quickly whipping through the report, and it's actually is true. We don't say an option is no camping ground, and yet that's actually quite an important option in terms of getting that included. So we think that's something that we need to reflect, because that's clearly one of the questions when we say what does a camping ground involve.
Just through you, Mr. Chairman, I guess the reason, you're right, there is no option for here to not having a campground. The reason for that is based on the feedback. I have yet to see an overwhelming, and some people see that, a few, that it's been done in the minority. So generally, what I've seen, people are happy to have a campground at home. So that's why it's not an option. But I can include it in the option if that's what you should read, but that's why it's not there.
So we will include the definition of a camping ground. That will appease you, Councillor Barron.
Not me. It's the ratepayers of Milton that have brought this up. One of them come and gave a presentation to us here. He's never been responded to. And I think that we have a responsibility as councillors to respond to the ratepayers' requests.
Well, I'm sorry, Councillor, because I have responded. I've spoken to him numerous times and visited the park with him, so I'd call that responding to it. But what I'm saying is if we give the people a definition of a camping ground in the paper, well, I don't know whether you put Google's definition of a camping ground or Webster's dictionary or whatever. If you put the definition of a camping ground in there, surely people in Melbourne will be able to understand what it is.
Mr. Chairman, perhaps I'm just thinking about this, and I'll pick up what Mike's saying, so that's fine. I'm listening to Councillor Barron and yourself and other councillors, and I don't want us to get in a situation where we go down a pathway, make a decision, and then we have a major problem because people didn't understand certain things. One of the things that I think is really important, okay, so partially in terms of where Councillor Barron is talking, is that I don't know whether we're describing what we mean by campground when we describe the model of operation we have for camping. So remember, in a policy sense, we shifted from council-owned and operated campgrounds because they weren't working for us, and they weren't bringing in a level of investment necessary to to achieve something. And we shifted that model, and we shifted in Waihola to where we only own the land and all the above ground assets are owned by the operator, and it's extremely successful. Waihola, Belclutha, Kaka Point, we will be wanting to do that at Punawea, and definitely if we are thinking ahead strategically around facilities, Taylor Park was going to be the next one. So what I think we might be missing, Mike, is a paragraph that at least explains what that model of operation is, because people are only probably seeing it, to be fair, in the current model, which is, no real investment, part-time sort of operator, run by council, but that's not where, the district was heading with camping grounds. And so I think that a halfway movement towards where we're talking about, where we can explain that model, because that's where I'm getting to about the submissions may then say, well, if that's where you're heading, I don't want to go there. The submissions might say, I thought you meant, council, the existing model, it's got 5 long-time residents in caravans, and that's what I thought you meant. campground. So to be fair, I think we have to explain that no, when we describe campgrounds, we are shifting to what we believe is needed for the district, and people need to be able to understand. So if you're comfortable with that, in terms of answering that question, we could insert a paragraph to explain the operating.
Are you happy with that, councillor? Or are the ratepayers happy? We won't know until we put it out.
Yeah, I think we're getting a wee bit bogged down. I mean, you've heard the submissions from the ratepayers, you've seen the feedback here about what's created this, and it was the cabins and the siding of the cabins. And we just want to make sure that we get that part clarified in the submission. So if that's how we've got to go about it, we've got to go about it.
Thank you. Councillor Cathwood.
Through you, the chair. So Steve, you adding that little portion explaining that whole campground act or something, is it?
No, just explaining.
Improve.
Yes, so it's really, Mr. Chairman, just getting away from what people in Milton might be thinking, what they're used to in the sense of seeing 5 old caravans that have been there for a while versus a modern operating campground as we expect, and the model that we've currently envisaged and encompassed across the district.
Councillor Mackie.
Yeah, look, I think the camping ground where it's sitting is quite a good asset for Milton. The issue, I don't think the locals are happy with the placement of those huts. If they were placed discreetly amongst those trees and what have you, we probably wouldn't be having this discussion. But it was how they've been displaced, I think. And I know that's been cost effective wise, that's been the best way to put them, but they could have been discreetly put amongst the area around there and you would hardly see them.
I don't believe that's the case, councillor Mackie, because to put them amongst the trees there, you'd have to displace the caravans. And one of the reasons that they are so far out is you've got to have room to back a caravan in. So there's a lot of things there that people have overlooked. Right? I think a lot of the issues have come from probably, and I'm not having to go at staff here, but probably some of the terminologies and comms that have gone out initially with emphasis on the wrong things. I think maybe the emphasis should have been on the benefits of people from the cycle trail rather than temporary workers or something like that. So we've probably got to look at ourselves for causing some of this. So, maybe that just needs clarified. But,
and also, Mr. Chairman, infrastructure doesn't go through trees.
right, sorry, councillor Payne followed by McCrosty.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Look, I think I've read through this draft Milton Reserve Management Plan, Mike. I think it looks great. I obviously there's a bit of discussion to be had, but I would really like to hear from the local councillors what their thoughts are. It's pertinent mostly to them, and they're the ones that are right in the centre of it. So, yep, yeah.
So through the chair, I think, Brent, the biggest misunderstanding from what I can see wasn't the original placement. It was a bit of misinterpretation between two people in the fire brigade, which started all this, as where how far down it was that got onto their track and away it went from there. The rest of the plan's fantastic. You know, that's what's realistically upset a couple of people and they're charged with it. That the fire brigade, both myself and Bruce have been in discussions, talking to one of the elder members. which thought it would be fine, where the fire chief was quite upset about it. That's where that's gone from. The rest of the people have sort of, some people are really for it, and they really like the idea. I think, you know, move the couple, give them back some, see what happens.
Councillor Barron.
Just responding to Brent, Chairman. It says in here that the option of locating the cabins under the trees has been discounted due to the following, and there was 3 items there that suggested why you couldn't put them under the trees. But to follow on, Mike, I just wondered, you've got in here the old tennis court area has been discounted as part of the campground, as there is no vehicle access from Taylor Park, although vehicles could potentially enter through the showground. I understand you could get access off Park Street directly to the old tennis courts if they were located there.
Gee, I'm not aware how you do that. It's one that was approved. And then you could have required additional cost for the loading. But I'm no expert on that.
Big pardon?
I'm no expert on that, but I think that would be quite an expensive operation. I imagine to get access.
I'll through that boundary up there to that area. I'm just saying you could get access. I've been on site.
I guess the key point there is it's created disjointed.
Councillor Four-Wheeler.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I think I should say something on this. I have had a wee bit of input into the final drafting of the plan the draft plan that Mike presented, and one thing I did comment on for Mike finalised this was just looking at where the entranceway into the camping ground is, just to make sure that no further camping was enabled closer to Park Road than already exists there at the moment. I think we probably just we had this offer from Corrections to take these cabins, and it just seemed an offer that was too good to be true at the time. Like we've supplied materials, and they built the cabins basically for no cost, and it was just an offer that was too good to be turned down. We probably missed a step in some ways as councillors, because an objective 4 of the reserve management plan, as it was then, not the draft, but it says 4.3, council will consult with the community prior to any major development on a reserve. Now, unfortunately, I think this was a reasonably major development. I know it's a camping ground, it's sort of a permitted activity, but it's a significant development. I think we perhaps just overstepped the mark in going about that and enabling the cabins to be put on there. As Councillor McFrosty mentioned, I initially, and then both he and I worked with Milton Volunteer Fire Brigade, and I thought we had established just what their needs were, but we unfortunately perhaps misinterpreted just what they needed there as well. So I'll take that on the chin, and I apologise for that, for not actually representing their needs back to staff, and staff shouldn't have to work in that at all. It's really communications that we, or as I, as a middleman, failed on. So I acknowledge what Councillor Barron's saying, just how we sell this or publicise this to the community so they understand what's to happen, what could happen there. So to improve their understanding. So I think we've got a good draft plan here. Perhaps those conditions that are suggested. So community can take that and have a think about that. Certainly the feedback that's come back in the pre-consultation stage leading up to this plan has certainly generated a lot of voice, and see whether that continues with the desire of the community. When we put this out to consultation, there is more acceptance of it. I think there's also the opportunity. It's a shame we have to move 2 cabins, but again, that's my fault really. But, yeah, staff. I think if cabins were to remain there, there's still the opportunity to at least mitigate that by some landscaping. So it's even if it's the decision is to remove them to another part of the camping ground than the swimming pool, it's future beautification, phone back, humans, visual impact of those cabins. Otherwise, I'm happy with
Okay, Mayor Coder.
Yeah, thank you. Philip, we've come settled with you through that to do an apology to Little Dean. But I'm concerned you did good work as councillors. Okay, it didn't withstand, the whole lot of us didn't withstand the micro focusing. But I think that we're overlooking the primary objectives that we're trying to achieve in Milton. And this is a good consultation document, Mike. We run with it. And I would like to think that this is an opportunity for the community of the wider Bruce to actually start thinking where they want to define themselves as a district moving forward. Because at every stage in that wider aspirational living and working strategy, Milton is the town quite literally with the most opportunity. It is. And it's going to grow regardless. And what we have seen in recent times is a micro focusing on issues that have caused delay and division, and also ultimately increases in costs. So this is the time for Bruce to use this consultation document. We keep hearing that there's the silent majority that are in support. If they stay silent, they might not get the town there. It's time for them to define. So I'm happy with the document, happy to move as well.
So you're moving that to
Well,
Mayor
yeah,
Coder, second.
Sorry, can we just check, Mr. Chairman, is that untouched or with the addition of the paragraph?
I think it's coming in deep. I'm not going to lose too much sleep because people want it.
So my question would be, so we are putting that question to the people of Milton. The campground?
No, Mr. Chairman, what I think that discussion evolved to certainly being, keep it as it is, but just put a paragraph explaining what an operating model of a campground is. And that would be sufficient. So that was the suggestion around the table. I'm assuming that His Worship and the seconder are unhappy with that and are prepared to accept that as the resolution.
Well, subject to changes approved by you or something. Is that what we have to put in?
I'm just suggesting the resolution, which is to approve it, subject to an additional paragraph relating to campground.
Yep.
And we understand what you mean.
Yep. I'm happy with that.
Any further discussion? Councillor Catholic.
Not so much a discussion, I'm actually just going to make a point because I'm pretty sure the residents and of Milton watch the discussion we're just having around this table. I've got to understand that campground involves cabins. It's a wonderful development. Once you allow 10 to be there, and we've got to remember that the CDC's focus, the District Council's focus, is to not administer and operate that camping ground. It is for that to go into private ownership. Not that they will own those above ground assets. In fact, realistically, Milton's got some real go in it. You actually want 20 cabins there, and you're full of cycle tourists every night, and watch their main street thrive. That's actually what the goal, the actual goal of Milton, that's where they want to get to. And if you don't want that, and you're worried about small operation temporary workers, because it's not a viable business opportunity without those cabins at the moment. So you won't find someone to come and buy those above ground assets. We're putting the money in. You get to 10. I hope in 10 years time there's 20 full. We'll see what comes back.
Just pick up from Councillor Paul Wheeler, that once the pool is demolished, are you thinking that those cabins could be relocated to there, or is that an idea?
Well, that's, I think, that's actually one of the options that's put in.
So taken right away, not extra cabins, but removed from the site that they are now.
That's an option we're giving to the community.
Right.
I'll just make it.
Councillor Payne. So any further discussion?
Just also make the point, to my mind, actually, and I asked Mike to put this into the plan as find it. It's just regarding the opportunity to put the cycleway through the Taylor Park plan, basically on that area that Councillor Barron was suggesting could be possible roadway through into the tennis court, dog area. That in my mind, and sometime in the future, is actually because of other landowners to the south haven't permitted access through their property, but that would be the ideal way for the cycle trail to go through Milton and into Taylor Park as well, rather than to go out along road past the high school.
Was that area not designated for dog park? Right?
Just.
So yeah, have the cycle trail through the dog park. They'll get them going.
The dog park keeps them moving, doesn't it?
But 3 years to change that option is included on page 47, item 7 there. So just when it talks about possible reduction of the gold trail through the reserve. So that's development opportunity. I think it's identified in this plan. It could be looked at.
Right. Councillor McCrosty.
Through the chair, now that we've got Henry, etc. here, how would it go putting roading right next to waterway? It would be quite technical, wouldn't it? Because you'd have that offflow, etc., etc.
Exactly. Yeah, we probably don't need to have that detailed discussion. Yeah.
Right, let's go.
Any further? Otherwise, we'll be here till midnight. Any further discussion on the recommendations? If not, those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. On to item number 3, which is 76. Move this wee thing here because you can move the pages down real fast. Technology.
Mike again, Mr. Chair.
Sorry?
Mike again, Mr.
Chair. Item for decision, Moore Park basketball court upgrade. Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So saying Milton, obviously, different reserve. So, and as you're aware, there was a submission that's last annual plan. We also had an item on the previous. So, the work that's done today really is around providing a safe life policy plan for that's going to last for a long time in Milton, and that has minimal requirements for maintenance. So that's what I guess has been our objective, in terms of what we're working towards. That's my understanding of what was required. So we went out and asked for quotes to undertake the sealing work. Rebuild the surface, like surface. So we talked to 4 different contractors, every one of them looked, and they all shook their heads and said that's going to be hard. And yeah, the small zeros is quite appropriate. But so we only had one that actually came back. So we did have a quote for that work. So that's included in this item. We've also had an updated quote on stormwater work for this higher than initially that we had. So I guess the key point there is that this it's not cheap to do this type of work, and especially in this environment when you've got a facility that's located in a bowl basically, which can be affected by a storm. So so largely to know that that's where we've been going, that it's may well be possible to do different type of project there that doesn't deliver such quality finish that may be affected in the future. I think that's included.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to add, look, there was good debate last time, and I think staff highlighted that it's going to be a significant cost. There is budget there, which would be sucking up basically the whole reserve budget, but it is there. We talked about that last time, and the direction was to go away and look at that full project, and that's what's been done. So we were expected to bring that back. We brought it back. So now we just want to know what the decision and direction is from council on the basis of the information we provide.
Question, Councillor Martin.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Mike. Mike, is the 148, is that inclusive of the stormwater work as well, or is that just for the surface? So that's for the whole lot?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor McCrosty, followed by Mayor Cody.
Sorry, Mike, was there another option? Came in late. Just for we know A1 Asphalt, between a few of us, has come in with like a $30,000 to $40,000 option. The thing with that is you're not running vehicles or anything over the tar seal, and if it is ponding at all with wet stuff, this is just something for everybody to think about, is kids won't be playing on it anyway. They won't be out in the pouring rain. And to look at whether that drain is blocked. I know Tony's been there. Project Bruce actually asked for a quote from A1 Asphalt, which has done somewhere in the council before. And he came back just with a reseal of 30 mil over the top. Just something else to think about, which would give you quite a lot of money back into your green parks budget, green space.
So, Mr. Chairman,
Sorry.
Yes. So yeah, I guess that's what I was trying to allude to at the start. That yeah, it's possible that you can do a different job than what's outlined here. But I think the issues that currently affect that facility will continue because of where it's located, and that you've got, it's basically located in a bowl. You've got sediment that's coming off banks, so that it's the ability to use it. And so what's outlined here is to the ability to create a quality facility.
And so, Mr. Chairman, just to add that if council wanted to put an inferior, cheaper option, which is quite compared to what was being proposed for the longevity, the stormwater option, that's perfectly fine as well. It's a cheaper option. We would just highlight that won't last. There'll be an issue with how long it lasts, and if it breaks down 2-3 years, whatever, then we're just saying, well, if we have to come back again for a similar project, that's fine because these are all your decisions. And this is the whole point: is we took options, we suggested why not moving it out of there to a half court situation somewhere else? And that was all debated and everybody said, no, we're not going there. We want the full court resurfaced. So, okay, do the homework, staff. So we do the homework. It's in a bowl. You need to deal with the stormwater. If we don't deal with it, you're going to be dealing with this again in the future and you're dealing with cheaper options. That wasn't requested, so we do it. Get the cost, and obviously there's a question about cost. Yes, it's going to be expensive. So now there's, okay, we'll find alternative options. Alternative options may be a cheaper, let's just throw a surface over the top to deal with it for a brief amount of time. Perfectly entitled to say that, do that as well if that's your choice. As staff, we just say, at the end of the day, that's your decision. Here's the pot of money. You need to make a call where you're going. You want us to do further work on it, again, because of these alternative options, or you're going to make a decision whichever way you go. We don't want a rush decision, but you can see the position you're putting us in with these thought processes, which we sort of highlighted in the very first option report, where we suggested it's probably not the best place to have a facility, but we followed direction.
Yeah, that's, to put my hand up, been a few things come across the bow. So firstly, look, if we're serious about milk, doing a half-by job every 3 years, we know fine well that if it's in a fish bowl, frosty water, it'll crumble, it'll break down, it'll be minky in no time, and Milton deserves better. If we genuinely are saying that Milton's going to be the biggest town, that it's got the most opportunity, and we're going to put facilities in, the facilities have got to be of a quality. The only hesitant, because that was where it's headed. We're going to do it once, we're going to do it properly. And yet it would now be remiss if there's additional information that I'm not privy to. You know, the second quote, there's a way of doing it where we also have to be mindful of the cost of the ratepayer. We can do it in good quality, I don't know. So could I at least put it there for discussion that until to come back even at just in the next 2 week cycle, make the decision at council in 2 weeks time, but when we've got the full information of the second quote that's floating around. I don't know what to do, Steve, because I haven't got the information now. Maybe that would do the trick. I was going to go for the doctor.
Councillor Luton.
Sorry, it's almost changing as we speak, but I'm concerned that we're going to use pretty much all of that fund, that reserve management team funding for this basketball. And I'm not against doing the basketball, so I'm going to raise that comment first. All the funds get here, every other project misses out. I mean, quite happy to partially fund and they can go outside funding for the basketball court. And that might sound mean, but I mean, other areas are going outside funding for their playgrounds and stuff. So that's probably where I'm coming from, a bit of ownership. I mean, the person that spoke, the annual plan that came and spoke was extremely passionate about it, and that's good, and I'm more than willing to support, but I actually don't see a problem with, like every other place, they actually go and get other funding. There is other funding out there. So I'm probably more going down that avenue. If you're going to do it right. I kind of feel that way, but in doing it right, I'd like to see the community take a bit of ownership too, and perhaps we do a 50-50 or something like
Maybe
that.
the Opportunities Fund or something. Councillor Wheeler.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. For a start, just a question. Mike, okay. You mentioned the stormwater improvements, and you said that cost, there's 20,000 allowed for in there. You got an updated cost
Chairman, so yeah, that was based on internal staff advice, and then subsequent to this being finalised, they shared a quote from contractor for 25,000. Chairman, to Councillor Crossley's point, I guess. So yeah, I am aware that Project Bruce have gone late on it. The quote wasn't to council, which was to me. I've seen that, but just confirm that is only one part of what is outlined in this item. So it doesn't deal with, so it's a reseal, that's one, but it doesn't get the water run off the port. Need to, so that's the additional cost that's in here is about building it away that the water pond, and then secondly, doesn't deal with getting that ponded water away, into the council storm list. Those are the additional costs. That include.
I would think, if we did it cheap and back up in 2 years, you'd really know what, angry milk people are about. Councillor Cathwood.
So it's 25. And that's 153.
That's correct, yeah, but I just like, there is a contingency in there as well. That's
153. So the question we need to ask ourselves then is actually more part the correct spot to actually have this basketball court? Because there's obviously an excessive cost to lift the land and drain it. A facility that's got longevity. Maybe we need to be thinking about a different location for it. Maybe it needs to go back if the basketball playing basketball. Is there an alternative? Another reserve that's we've got to have a new facility. We looked at a new facility in the right location. I don't think spending $150,000 is a very wise spend, actually. But you actually want that community to be able to play their basketball. So 30,000 option doesn't sound like a good option either. The cheap option of a reseal, it just needs to come back. Another alternative. Sorry, our whole project's up. At this stage, I actually feel that I'd actually be going for recommendation C. It does not approve funding for this project. I think it's either too expensive, or we're maybe not doing a good enough job.
Could be a flat area in the middle of Taylor Park.
Councillor Payne.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm trying to recall our discussions last time we discussed this. And I thought that I think I went away thinking the desire was to do this. And so I'm just going to move it along and bring everybody back to the recommendations. And what we're looking at, the 2A there, and it's approved funding up to 148. So the discussion, to get that moving along, you can approve that. The discussion about whether it's a cheaper option or a different option can come later. That would be my thoughts, just looking at it. I can see the answers there in my eyes, but that's only me.
So do you move that?
I'm happy to move 1 and 2A.
1 and 2A.
Yes.
We have a seconder. Councillor Crosby. Right, any further discussion?
I'm saying, I'm not in favour of it, but I just think all these things in these communities, they've got a much greater chance of succeed if their community buy-in for staff. Community get involved in these things and they've got ownership. You just go and here's 148 grand, cool the thing away it goes. They've got to have some skin in the game for staff, and that starts with people raising some money and getting involved, in my opinion. 100% agree with the project, not a problem. But the community's got to
Have they not got buy-in by supplying notice?
Yes. Can I just reiterate what I just said? Like that buy-in can still come. The statement says approved funding up to $148,000. It's not saying anything about no buy-in.
I wouldn't support that motion because I approve partial funding. So because by saying we're approving funding up to 148,000, I know we're saying up to, but it's actually not saying that it's partial. It's basically saying that we're prepared to fund up to whatever it costs. Well, I would support approving partial funding, and that way there's the buy-in from the community as well to take some ownership.
Mr. Chairman, I just wonder, just wonder whether one option is just take it off the table. And the reason why I say that is either option A, which is approving funding of up to 148, or option B, partial funding, it just drops staff into it, because, you know, who are we talking to, who's making decisions, who has authority to approve, what does the community want, and it certainly just sounds like there was a bit of a direction, and then, you know, the extent of the costs come through, and there's some certain problems associated with that, and perhaps has to go back to square one and just, you know, get that communicated to the community and say, where to from here? Groundwork's been done, but what else are we going to do? Now that does absolutely delay the project, but I'm not so sure you would be speeding up the project by giving us the up tos or the partials with no other direction, and it just drops in staff's lap to have to try and sort it out. And I don't think that actually helps anybody, to be honest, Mr. Chairman.
So what do we do here then? It's
We can
been,
vote on-
it's been moved and seconded.
Yeah. I don't.
Is what what does the sage of Milton say that they agree?
Thank you for that compliment, Mr. Chairman. I'm used to that from you, but however, I just wonder, even if we weren't to reseal that area, it still seems to, stormwater, getting rid of the stormwater is still a problem. And whether that should be done for a start anyway, even if we postpone making a decision on the actual surfacing tennis court. Whether that should, whether the stormwater part of that, that should still proceed, perhaps with a budget of $25,000 to do that.
Well, let's just say we test the motion. Yeah,
Well,
and it's been moved and seconded. So all those in favour?
What was the motion?
Sorry? That was 1 and 2A.
Separately.
One first.
Yeah. Well, recommendation 1, that the service delivery receives the Moore Park Basketball Court upgrade report. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Option, recommendation 2A, approve funding for up to 148,000 plus GST, in Milton Parks and Reserves. All those in favour? Raise your hand.
Well, I do it, I heard what Steve said, so I'm enjoying it. Yes.
You moved it, didn't you?
Yeah, but I still reconsider, I've got the right.
1, 2, 3, out of that.
Hang on, who are the 3, 4?
Aim, Rossy, Barrett.
Yeah, 4.
So, failed.
Always against.
Sorry. So, do we do as the CO said? And
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, Councillor Bolwell might be suggesting another resolution.
I guess possibly, I'm presuming, making the assumption still that a court of some sort will go on that, in that area. So at least if we progress, we can still make some progress by getting the drainage right in that area anyway, and then we can have a debate or put it back to the community as to what they would like to see, how they would like to see that court developed and how much they would want to spend on it. But I would perhaps defer to staff if that was a reasonable way to do that, to do the drainage for the estimated at $25,000. And see, that's been helpful.
right, so
Sorry, Mr. Chair, do you have a view, Mike?
Yeah, I would, I would suggest that's not a bad option. That's my, I've been visiting their site several times and understanding of it, that certainly that would be the truth there anyway. And then possibly that work can be done cheaply, but the work's required, but at least that's the start. And secondly, that the existing court, although not fantastic, it's still going to be used.
right, so do we have to go to a recommendation for that?
I'll move a motion that we sorry, that we approve funding of, I guess we need to make sure we can cover that. $25,000 be enough? Yeah, we've got more, $30,000. Up to $30,000 to drainage.
Right. Oh. Questions?
Yeah, question.
Mayor Cadogan.
Should take a second first.
We have a second. I will.
Is the digging up of the drain, was that an integral part of preparing the site, and consequently it's a whole different scope? Is the efficiency there to do it once, dig it up, do the whole thing, and we're taking 2 bullets when we shouldn't?
The problem with that site is that it's a bit uncertain about what does happen in a storm event, but it's quite obvious that it gets wet, stays wet, and there's still gets deposited on it.
My concern is that if we go ahead and do this, and I support it, I can see the logic, but then if someone comes along and says, just found the ideal site over here, we've done that virtually for no reason, or there would be benefit for the wider Moore Park to have done.
Well, I mean, I would think that any time you address stormwater, if you don't want a lake, then that has positive benefit to a reserve.
Councillor Payne.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question following on from what His Worship just said. Does the drainage affect the tennis court if you're ducting things up? Tennis court. To fix the drainage, have you got to dig some of the tennis court up to do that?
I think that's
all. Oh, is it?
The answer would be to go back and look at the options available to deal with that, to improve the drainage from that site up to the stormwater.
That won't get them down.
And obviously, if that involves doing up the physical court, then you need to be careful about that. But it might, I would say that there's probably other ways to do it.
I think it looks like we're voting on something that we really got fully aware of. I would always prefer to see a report coming back to make sure that the homework's been done on this option. But at the moment, I feel I'm voting on something that we were doing because of the network of the court, and now that we're not, I would like to make sure that it's the right option. And so I'm probably asking for another report, and I'll throw something else into the mix here, which you won't want. If Moore Park has the flooding and everything else is a problem, why are we spending so much money on a basketball there? We've actually got Taylor Park with a playground, with a tennis court that I don't know. I mean, there may be actually other options for a basketball court other than at Moore Park. I'm not saying it is, but just a comment.
More than one park, they'll closer to.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, just want to reiterate to you that when you did the workshop on this subject and you had the community here, staff had presented options suggesting alternatives within Moore Park, which is actually the destination part of the park. It's an activity park, so it makes sense. And we suggested alternatives around half courts and things for exactly what you were saying, Councillor. But the community and you, as in general, didn't agree with that, and went with the community view that they wanted the full court in its current location, and that's what we've progressed with. So I just highlight that that's been canvassed.
It's just as a discussion. Anyway, that's fine. I've made
Right, any further discussion?
Yes, well, I think I close the drainage. Even if the tennis court wasn't there, that park does need some drainage work done on it. It will improve it. It's some of the flooding goes through one corner of Moore Park, so we can make some improvements in that whole area. It's going to get a facility, and as Chief Executive said, it is a destination park. We're trying to keep facilities sort of centrally located here, and would be an asset to the community to have the court on that place. But for a start, I think if we can do the drainage there, make some improvements there, we improve the whole facility.
Right. Let's close the discussion. What is the recommendation?
Funding of up to 30,000 be approved for drainage work at Moore Park.
Right, everybody clear on that? All those in favour? No, there's no more. Councillor Bolt.
From where? From their reserves, or was it from?
Sorry, it was always from the reserves. The reserves always had a budget for Milton reserves, and so that's coming from there.
Stormwater work.
Right, can we finally move this along? All those in favour, raise your hand. Right. Against? The ayes have it.
Who's against?
Councillor.
Take you back.
Were you for or against?
Right.
Abstain.
Councillor Martin abstained. Martin abstained. Okay, do we want to?
Yeah, yes, I can do. We'll have a break for right, we'll reconvene the meeting. Item number 4, which is an item for information, organisational performance report, service delivery. Jules isn't here, so is that to you, Steve?
Certainly not, Mr. Chairman. I'll pass it to Julie.
Can I ask, okay, so this is just the service request part of that we're reporting on, but can I ask, because we haven't had any feedback, these graphs have been in here for the last 2 agendas, but we're just trialing different ways of presenting that information. If you can give us, you don't have to do it now, but if you can give us some feedback, you can email me, you've given me feedback. Thanks, Mick. Because
I'm not sure what it means.
Okay, that's fine.
I looked and I couldn't work it out, so I just wrote up.
Because I've had this debate with one of the IT team, and I said I didn't particularly like it. So if you are unhappy with that presentation and you preferred it when it was just the normal graphs that we were doing, we're happy to go back to that.
Yep.
Awesome, brilliant, thank you.
Agree with that.
Thank you.
Right, any questions on the item number 4?
Move recommendation.
Councillor Herbert. Any further discussion? Questions? I'll determine. All right, all those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. On to item number 5 on page 83. 83, the group manager's update. Are you doing that as well, Judy?
There's as you can see in there, I'll take it as read, and Jules is actually on a civil defence controller training course in Christchurch this week. So he's obviously been very, very busy because he's had very few emails. So the final structure for the service delivery department has been determined. And so from the end of tomorrow, that change sort of takes effect gradually through. And Jules becomes the Deputy Chief Executive, and I'll become the EA to the Deputy Chief Executive. So, this would mean a change in our committee, like with going forward, the reporting and stuff as well. But that'll be worked through.
So what we can do, Julie, please, if we could pass to the elected members the final structure now for how the utility department has been split up into separate activities. And the first activity being stood up is Donna's activity, which is the combined infrastructure strategy and capital delivery. And you'll see that structure. And then we're just waiting on 2 other activities to be stood up based on the recruitment going on for the key positions in those activities. And that's not forgetting Linda's Three Waters activity that's already been in place since July. So we will provide that to you because they'll be the key people moving forward once some of those positions get filled. But they'll be the key positions, and then we'll go from there.
Right, any questions for Julie as Jules? Who's that? Councillor Herbert, seconded by Mayor Cadogan. Any further discussion or questions? If not, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Right, we'll go to page 85, item number 6, operations update, transportation and facilities. Henry, welcome.
Thank you, sir. The fact the report is read, if there's any questions.
Questions for Henry? Surely, someone must have one. Mayor Cadogan.
Yeah, just a request, please. Thank you for the community facilities. I believe the huts are being moved today. Yes, sir. I see the pit work was happening earlier in the week. Yeah. Brilliant. So, just in addition to that, when I went past the other day, the area was looking unkept. The grass was allowed to go long. It was all through the gates and that. Just for the general ambience, the site of the, to try our best to appease some of the concerns. Are we able to have a wider tidy up of the area? And it would be really good to get these huts rented out, occupied as quick as we can. So thank you. Good stuff that's on the go today.
Right, further questions?
Thank you. Yeah, just a statement. Really, look, Henry, I really enjoy reading your reports every time we get them. They're easy to read. You've got pictures, and in particular today we've got a big green patch there on page 88, which looks fantastic. The only comment I've got is probably just a little bit small for my eyes, but no, thanks for the way you report. It's really good. It's easy.
Right, if there's no more questions, Councillor Martin.
Through you, Chair, Henry, the Wakakatahi, like the application that we went for the shortfall, what sort of timeframe are we waiting to hear from them? Is it liable to be before Christmas or?
Yeah, through the Chair, it's quite a unique situation that we're actually winning good money, so that's in our favour. So informally, first of all, already had a conversation with them. So they just need to get back to us formally, but the staff that we've spoken to. And I think there's a paper coming to go in 2 weeks' time, being organised. So we will be going to have early heads up for the money to spend and basically soon.
Oh, great news.
Any further questions? Councillor Barron.
Henry, have you got a final costing for the installation of the Chrissy Street playground swing, please?
You Chair, I don't have it at the moment, but I can do it.
Okay. Any further discussion, questions? If not, someone prepared to move the recommendation on page 85. Councillor Payne, seconded by Councillor Crosty. Any further questions or discussion? No? If not, those in favour? Against? Carried. On to page 92, item number 7, an item for information, operations update, water and waste. Linda, welcome.
There's the chair, I have the papers read, I'm happy to take any questions. Just one, we update about the fluoridation and field training is happening next month. And that training will involve getting 2 or 3 of the sites set up. And then the staff will be able to get the remaining 2 or 1 set up following that. And I guess the other piece of news, the Puru water treatment plant, so that we can get increased volume and have compliant water. We've got some additional equipment that is being delivered to site next week, so almost a portable clarifier, which will be semi-permanently installed. And we expect that to lead to the volume that's needed to get to the summer hopefully.
So, Mr. Chairman, that was the point where we had a plant that was producing quality water, but when the tap was turned on, it wasn't producing enough. And so further work had to be done to try and improve the water coming in at source, and to get us to where we need to be able to remove all water nodes.
And as part of that investigation, when that happened, we've obviously been out, team to be out checking the strictures and doing that type of work to make sure that we understand where the water might be going. We didn't find anything disturbing, that's what I'm told, but hopefully that new certificate being delivered, it's being painted currently. And yeah, delivered to site next week.
Excellent. Questions, Councillor Catherwood?
Okay, so, through you, Chair. So you're putting in bigger pumps to produce more volume per source, is that correct?
It's not a pump, so it's a whole clarifying pump. It's a self-contained kind of unit, I think, that increase the volume.
So obviously taking more water from the source.
Yes, but only within our consent.
Okay. And the clarifiers, what's going to do the job to remove the boil water nodes?
Because we have to have the contact time for the pouring onto the water. So we can achieve quality water with the existing plant, but we can't produce enough water. So we have to add more water to the supply, we need additional water to do that.
Probably, but so we've got are we actually measuring water that is going, is actually leaving the plant that's then arriving to our reservoir tanks? Are we actually measuring that?
Measuring the output?
Yep.
Yes.
To what? Then are we measuring what goes into our reservoirs?
I don't think it's flowing is on the reservoirs. I'm not speaking on that, I'll have to check.
Yes.
We know what's leaving the plant, because that has to be, that's one of the issues, so I think it has to be at around 24 litres a second, and it is leaving at 18 litres a second.
Yeah. Right. Any further questions for Linda? If not, and someone prepared to move the recommendation on page 92 that the Service Delivery Committee receives the operations update, water and waste. Move Councillor Phelps, seconded Councillor Mackie. Any further questions? No? All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Might ask Donna to come up, Mr. Chair, Ms. Jules is here to do this one. She's picking this up anyway tomorrow.
Right, it's the item number 8, which is an item for information, the infrastructure strategy update. Donna, welcome.
Good afternoon, everybody. So, I'll take Jules's report as read and, try and answer questions.
Questions? A short meeting. Someone prepared to move the recommendation on page 96? Did you move that, Councillor Herbert? Moved, Councillor Herbert, seconded. Councillor McTamley, did you put your hand up?
I was just about to put my hand up.
For a question?
Yes.
Go back to that.
Yeah, okay, can I go back to page 96, 1.1? There's still issues going on finding the site for the Greenfield water treatment plant, isn't there?
There is, but I've got to you, Chair, there is some negotiations and some discussions with certain landowners. We are making progress.
There's a risk that the tree plantation is going to be built before the treatment plants even settled, the site's even settled.
No, I think we're on track, to be honest, to be perfectly honest, but we do have, there is one landowner at the moment that we're just having to talk with a little bit more in detail, but this property here in particular, Jules and myself and Ben Gold, we actually came up with a plan last week.
Yeah, possibly now even more than after. Yeah.
Maybe we should look at so if you have some more information for us,
yeah,
that'd be really helpful. Thank you.
Right, do we have a seconder for Councillor Herbert's? Okay.
I can do it, yeah.
Councillor McTamley. Any further questions? Councillor Phelps.
Thank you through the chair. I'm just probably going to be a bit hard for you to answer, Tom, but reading the Balclutha water treatment plant intake, it's taken 5 years to get things sorted, and I just sort of wonder why it's taken so long. I understand you're doing a reassessment, but I sort of struggle with it's taken, and I understand it's probably going to be hard for you to answer, but I sort of struggle with it's taken 5 years to get something sorted out, especially if it's a safety issue, health and safety issue, maybe. I presume that the water side is okay, it's more of a safety issue.
But through you, Chair, I will have to into that. I can do a more councillor now.
Councillor Martin.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Donna, have we had much feedback from the student management teams? Are you aware of, or?
Through you, Chair, yes, there has been, it's an excess of 60 that I'm aware of that occurred by last week.
Right.
And we're still getting constant submissions coming through. So Nico currently is working on that, and then once the submission period closes, we will get a load of information.
Yes, roughly how's the positives versus negatives, or?
I think in general, predominantly positive at this point in time, but I don't know the detail. So.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Any further questions? If not, all those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. On to page 104. Item for information, item number 9, capital delivery update. Donna, yours again.
Thank you, Chair. So, you could hopefully take this report as read. There is one amendment that I would like to advise, is that when I wrote the report in regards to item, the Milton Fallen Library project, which should be on page 114, item 6. We had originally planned to be coming to the 7th of December council meeting, but excluded with an update. We have been provided some information from our professional service provider that we're working with on this project, where it's raised some more questions that we wanted to investigate and explore before opening the report to you to engaging in procurement business. Nothing to be alarmed of. What I had a discussion with Steve and Jules. I wanted to be able to provide you as much options and as much information with full clarity of proposals moving. That won't be coming to the 15th.
Councillor
Quick question, I don't expect the answers now, Donna. My question is, 1.9, got contract 791 about 2 bridges in West Otago. Could you just put me an email where those are, please? Can you find that in your
Yes,
time?
I do know where they are, but I only remember them as Bridge 106 and 112, so I will, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's right, it's just for mine. Like, don't bother if you've done already.
Yeah, good idea.
Donna, please, just on page 109, do you have a rough cost of Clinton work? And it's great to see so many of these projects coming to fruition, but I wasn't aware that there was much happening. What is the cost of that?
So through you, Chair, I'll come back to you because it's a combined budget on all the areas, so I can ask something to give you the breakdown of the individual site.
Are you,
So it's 2 million.
yeah, just for that one, I've got a meeting on Friday.
I'll come back to you.
Councillor Cathwood.
And contract 862, that maybe it's rubbish slip from mediation. Tenders are closing on 6th, September is saying you must have a result by now.
Yes. The chair that has been awarded.
Yeah. Yes. What was costing on
it?
Just things. And is there a start date yet?
No, because this was like we went out to tender early on this one because this project, we can only do the physical delivery outside of the wildlife breeding season. So it's nice to have the contractor to have in their pocket to prepare and plan within that time period. But the work will be delivered and completed within the time period required by the 30th of June.
Any further questions for Donna? If not, we have a mover. A mover for the recommendation on page 104. Councillor Wheeler, secondary. Councillor Phelps. Any further discussion? No. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. On to page 100.
Thank you.
$116, an item for information, item number 10, the compliance update. Kieran, welcome.
Thank you. So I'll take the report as read and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Yeah, go.
Yeah, thanks, Karen. Sorry, I've got a few questions. First one's on 6. We're still picking up every now and again during the past 4 weeks of monitoring elevated samples aluminium.
Yeah,
but we're not getting the exact numbers. I tried looking through, I couldn't see the numbers. I know that first time there was quite a variance in it. Are we able to get what the numbers are? Are we just failing? Are we catapulting over?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, so those aluminium result numbers are available on this council website, and they come through on the Aluminium Weekly Compliance Update that goes out to Makarawai, the Health Board, and I think councillors as well. But if you'd like them included in this report, we can have a summary of the last 4 weeks of results.
Another not picking up. Done. Second one is, you know, that a few 2 or 3 months ago, there was the Kakapon community ushered us down there. They were getting perpetual boil water notices. What is the plan And at that point, we went back to the chair to go back to the whole of Kaka Point community saying, there, it's imminent. But it's not imminent. Has someone gone back to the chair of the Kaka Point group with the time frame now for when it's going to comply? Or more to the point, can we please?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not too sure. I'm sure we've got a plan in place that can be prepared and supplied to the chairman.
Yeah, it was just the promise was made.
Yeah.
And then, in recent times, it seems to me that everything Three Waters is elevating up. We're ramping up New Zealand wide, the pressure's coming on, and especially with the water regulator, the new regulator, they can't stay quiet for much longer. And I look on page 123 onwards on their report that it's the same statement. Hold on, what was it? We're not fully compliant with the abatement notice within the required timeframe, and an extension will be required. And as I read through it, because each and every one of them had that, we're just going to request an extension. What if it's not granted?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. So those requests for extensions have been prepared, and they'll be submitted to the ORC in the next few weeks, and we should have their response back in regards to those extensions.
Is there an option that they could go, no, you don't?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. It'd be unlikely if we're demonstrating that we're working towards compliance that they would reject an extension.
And then finally, on the protozoa, there was a comment made yesterday in the zone that, and I don't understand the technicals, but all the protozoa screens or filters or something, the thing that you put in to fix it, all of them have been bought. You haven't got them by now. You're not going to get them before July. You can't buy any more. They're all gone. Have we got ours?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, all of our treatment sites have protozoa barriers apart from Tupeka West. And we've responded to Tamatarawa's request for information regarding that treatment plant and our, I guess, plan to resolve the protozoa barrier issues.
So we've bought whatever they said you can't buy any more of, we've already got it.
They're in place. So UV treatment and filtration provide protozoa barriers, and they're all in place.
But just checking, the one that we're short of.
Yeah.
Do we have a UV unit for that yet? Or we have to find?
For Tupeka West, that site's going to be replaced by the greenfield bores. And so, yeah, the investment for that water treatment plant wasn't an option.
Okay, that's fine.
And we've got till the end of December next year to be compliant. I'll just jump in with that.
I thought it was to what?
So we've got to have a plan with them by July, but we've got till December next year to be compliant.
Okay.
Important that Greenfield delivers on time.
Councillor Herbert.
Thank you. Just, I'm looking at page 119 regarding NIFAC and can you just help explain to me or interpret that all those numbers there on that page as to why we're still under report water notice? Is it the middle column there with contact time? Is that what's initiating all that read?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, per day we have to demonstrate 95% compliance with the contact time and the other relevant rules.
Yep.
And if we aren't able to achieve that consistently, we can't justify lifting a boil order notice for that site.
The next column T 3.4 minimum, is that related directly to the first column?
They are both related, yes. So one is calculated from the other.
Yes.
The first one is the 15 minutes of contact time per milligram is achieved.
Yeah.
And then this T 3.4 requires a minimum of 5 minutes contact time in the reservoir tank before it's distributed to the.
So it's actually the amount of time that water's spending there.
Yeah. It's the amount of time that it's receiving contact time from the chlorine. Yeah. So it's going through the reservoir quite quickly, or the chlorine levels are quite low.
Yeah. How hard is it to split those two things to solve the problem?
Regarding the reservoir level, you need to replace the existing reservoirs with a larger tank.
Which we are.
Yeah, which is in the long-term plan. Yeah, so that would likely resolve that issue.
Yeah, so that's the only way of resolving that issue. So until until we build that Freedom Water Reservoir, we're not going to become a ball water. Is that what that's telling me?
It'll be hard to take the ball and then it's up.
Just for you, Mr. Chair, we have actually engaged,
Ian River.
Ian River.
Well, he's doing it at the moment.
Any further questions? If not, there's a recommendation on page 115. The Service Delivery Committee receives the compliance update report. Someone prepared to move that, please? Councillor Ludeman, seconded. Councillor Payne, all those in favour? Against? Carried on to page 133. Thank you. Oh, thank you, mate. 33. Item number 11, another item for information, the community projects update. Mike, welcome back.
Chair, we'll take this item as read.
Questions, Mike? No. Someone prepared to move the.
Yeah.
Move.
Councillor Wheeler, seconded. Mayor Cadogan.
Good to see it moving on, Mike.
Yep. Any further questions? All those in favour? Against, carried. On to another one. I could have dragged that one on, but.
What you had.
You just need to close it, Chairman, and then pause the live stream.
Close the meeting at 4:08.
All right, kia ora koutou, no mai haere, mate. Hey, welcoming and everybody. I'd like to welcome to the Regulator and Policy Committee. First I'll start with apologies, and I'm obviously not Councillor Finch, so we'll have one from Councillor Finch. Are there any further apologies? No. Declarations of interest. I better move it for a second.
That one.
Yeah, thank you. I'll move it. Worship. All those in favour, please say aye. Thank you. There's no declarations of interest. Nobody in the public forum. And I guess we can just move on to item number 1, which is, I'm thinking it's you, Malcolm, is it? Since you're sitting right beside me. All right, well, we'll just hand over.
Thank you, Chair. We've just had another visit from IANZ, which they cleared our non-compliances for January. Unfortunately, when they came back, they decided to look at another layer, and they've given us another list of things to address. I can go into details of those if you wish, and I'll run through the report first and see if there's any questions on that when we get to it. Most of the issues there involve around reporting requirements and the inability of our system to be able to do it automatically, and also the extent of the reporting that they want, which is a wee bit of a frustration, but we have IT working on those. They're also looking at reasons for decisions on things around what we call section 112 report, which is where buildings have alterations done and they're required to upgrade as near as reasonably practical. Myself and the senior inspectors have always treated the report as you either accept it or you ask the questions around it. They're expecting decisions to be made individually on each item, so we have to really look at our processing sheets to fix that. They also reasons on decisions around refusal of CCCs at the 24-month clock was actually quite an interesting one. We send you out a letter at 23 months, and generally what happens, like you can't sign our building off if it's not finished. So you come back with the letter and say that you require a 6 or a 12-month extension because the work's unfinished. To me, that's a reason why you can't issue the CCC. Apparently, according to the Building Act legislation, it's not. You actually have to detail that you accept the extension, but you have to detail that you can't sign it off because that doesn't meet the building consent. So they're actually looking for wording like that, which is really quite frustrating. They're also looking at format review for specified system changes and that, so we're currently working through that. And another item they pinged us on was they were actually congratulate us on some of the work that we've done through the previous visit, but they turned around and identified that we'd done really, really good at individual training, but we had no records of group training. So that's a really frustrating one. I mean, technically we're all doing the same training, but we're not recording it as a group. So, yeah, talk about frustrations. The work levels and building control, they've obviously slipped back a wee bit. The value of works is dropping down quite a bit. But it's still surprising the number of consents that are coming through. Currently have, checked again today, we currently have 51 consents in the system waiting for issue. Having said that, we only have, I think it's 8 that haven't been looked at, all the rest are been through their first round and are waiting on responses from the owners or agents. When I wrote the report, staff levels across the building team had remained stable. Unfortunately, since writing the report, we've received notice from one inspector who is going to leave and go out on his own project, working on the tools. Had no health and safety issues raised. Continuous improvements, we're working on those. So when you get an audit report done, it's important that everything's followed through and tracked and ensure that all the boxes are correctly answered. Everything's pretty much up to date in that area. Animal control, the staff there are working on chasing out people that have unregistered dogs. We currently have 12 people that are paying off fees because of tightness in the economy, their own financial parts. And normal stats there for anyone if they want to think on that. Licensing stats are quite clear there. On our stats for the building control, once we get over that other page there, ironically to date we're actually achieved 100% on everything so far this month. But having said that, the ones on the previous months that have gone over 20 days, some of them date back to March, April and May, so they're all old consents when they run over. We've waited on responses. So pretty much that probably concludes what I have to say about that, but any questions? No.
Thank you, Malcolm. Councillors, any questions, Malcolm? Councillor Fowles.
Just through the chair, just regarding page 4 regarding dangerous dogs, you've got to note that we have 3 dangerous dogs in the district. Both have been registered. Is that just a typo, or what constitutes a dog, fighting dog, or?
Well, dangerous dogs they generally come from where there's been complaints received about them, and we have to go down the line. So it could be the breed of the dog. Some dogs are automatically regarded as. I'd have to look into each individual case to see where it fits in, but just because a dog is dangerous doesn't mean to say that the people can't keep it. They just have to muzzle it when they're exercising.
Councillor Graham.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. This really puzzles me under dog control, that total owned and not registered. And I know you just take it from last year's number of owned dogs. How do you know? How can you tell how many dogs are owned and not registered? You can't. You don't know when I've gone and got another dog, or it just annoys me every time I see that.
Yeah, I think the wording is taken from the way that the reporting is set up for the control compliance that we have to send over. I think it's probably more a case of, can we adjust the wording to make it sound a little bit better? At the end of the day, we can only report on stats that we know. Like there's probably plenty of dogs out there that we don't know about, which.
Yeah, so could it be known, total owned, and not registered?
Right, yeah, wording would probably be the one on that one. I'll see what we can do
Yeah,
to.
just something.
Thank you, Councillor Graham. Further questions for Malcolm? No, well, we do have a recommendation there that we received the report. Somebody prepared to move. Councillor Graham, seconded Councillor Herbert. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? So carried. Moving along to planning and regulatory.
Looks like Olivia's taking that over.
Okay, Olivia, thank you. You'd like to come at the front. You're gonna give us a wee report, you'd like to speak to it. Feel free to, you know, or take a seat, it's up to you. You feel free to do whatever you wish.
Okay, the microphone. Hello everyone, I'm Olivia Orestio, representing planning today. Online, I also have Adita, who is the planning manager, and also Craig Barr, who is our consultant that we use for matters such as the NESPF, which is for the forestry side of things, and for wind farms. So Craig will be available to chat to the forestry side of things, which is discussed in the report. Briefly to go through what we have covered. To date, we've got our, as discussed at the last meeting, we're now including new consents that we have received so that you're aware of the type of consents you're receiving. And we're also noting the types of consents that have been granted since we met last. So those stats are in there. We note that our stats are 100% again. So that's for the year to date. We've received 100% for the last 5 months, which we're really happy about. We are keeping a close eye on the legislative changes that are going through at the moment. In the government side of things, mindful as well is that we may have a new government, and our Freedom Campaign Officer is still being very active, as we see in the report, and doing a really great job out there in the community. So through the chair, I'll take the report as read, but do we have any questions from that, please?
Yes. Councillor Cathwood.
Through the chair. Just on the other planning matters. Just a wee one about the Southland Wind Farm, which will come to Inji. The boundary of the Cliff District, is it in the Cliff District?
No, the wind farm itself is not. There is a trans emission route that may go into the Clutha district, but the turbines themselves are not in the district, and that the route that they're proposing is one of, I think, several routes that may go into another district yet. So we are invited to consult, not to consult on it, but we've got a bit of input that we can give in terms of informal feedback, because they are a neighbouring district, and because there is a transmission line coming through into our district, the turbines themselves are not included. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, well, yeah, I suppose it has, the question I'm asking is, if it's not in our district, why are we working on it? Like transmission lines.
Yeah. That's correct.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Your worship.
So can I please just get clarification? I know I'm going to be questioned on it. There's 2 wind farms in question. So the one that's in our district, we don't really have any jurisdiction because it's a private group and an outside, but we run the hearing on it? Or we bring in independent commissioners, what would the?
Through the chair and Craig Barr, who's online, feel free to speak up, Craig, if you think it's necessary as well. If the application, the Kaihiku Wind Farm, which is going to be located in the district, or that's the proposal, if that is submitted to council through the standard consents process, then this council would process that application. It would potentially be notified, but we can't predetermine that at this stage. There is another option, which is a different route with the fast track process. However, we're not, and that's where we have some involvement, but would not make the decision per se. So there are two different routes available, and we don't know at this stage what way the proposal will go through.
So we have affected, my limited knowledge, the affected parties. Would a general member of the public, because I can see it 2 miles in the distance, be considered an affected party, or is it really only for the ones that are affected? Who can join in this process?
Good question, through the chair. So really we can't predetermine that at all until we get an application in, and then we'd establish the affected party side of things. So council will make that determination if it comes through the council route. It may go to public notification, which means that the public is, because we've got limited notification, which is where council can identify particular affected parties. There's also next option up for notification, which is public notification. That's where it can be in the papers and anyone can make a submission. However, at this stage, before we have an application, we're not able to determine what the application status will be.
What would the time frame for that?
Through the chair, when you mean time frame for us to
So
understand.
would a member of the public find out by March that they are able to, or, yeah, you're right, I can go and do something. When are we expecting this to actually roll?
So it would depend when we receive the application. If we receive the application and it doesn't go through the fast track process. So if it came through council and if it came in, say, early to mid next year, which is a possibility, they're still going through their own process as well in preparing the application, then I would say, it's difficult to say, but we'd be identifying pretty quickly what the notification pathway had to be. And then we would go through whatever route that would be.
Thank you.
Councillor McAtamney.
Yeah, it just related to, I had a good read of the production forestry, the national policy statement comments you've got there. So how far advanced are you, or if at all, with starting to get to work on where Clutha might be?
So through the chair, I'll offer Craig, if you'd like to step in now, since Craig has wrote, this is Craig Barr, our consultant online. My understanding is that we've now had these changes, we're advising this document on the changes, and that's now a matter to consider about what the next steps will be. But Craig, I'll offer you to step in if you'd like.
Thanks. Good afternoon, everyone. To answer your question as succinctly as possible, we're actually not any further ahead than where we were in February when I last appeared before the council. And the reason for that was because the government were consulting on changes to the National Environmental Standard for Forestry. And so before the work stream commenced on investigating a plan change to introduce rules that managed forestry in terms of social and economic effects, we needed to understand firstly what the government were going to do. And because that might have involved changes to that document which introduced rules that meant that it would be managed through the National Environmental Standards rather than the district plan. So all that work the council would have been doing would have been potentially, wasted. So it's set out in the report, but a couple months ago, the government, actually sooner than that, about 6 weeks ago now, that the government identified that they'd confirmed the changes to the National Environmental Standards. And what those changes did were that they confirmed that councils were able to have their own rules managing the social and economic effects, and also they've added more flexibility into that existing document by saying that councils can actually have their own rules to manage the biophysical effects. So what it's done is that it's confirmed that a council can have rules to manage the social and economic effects. And it's also made a change, meaning that if a council decides that it needs to have more stringent or less stringent rules managing the biophysical effects like erosion and sediment or effects on landscape or something like that, then a council can also do that, because previously that was limited to only a sort of select few areas that they referred to as sensitive environments. So I hope that explained that.
So we're right at the start, really.
If I can offer there through you, Mr. Chair. But we had to wait for that government guidance, and now, as referred to in the report in February, that the council, we sat at the table and said, look, we would like to investigate a plan change. And now we're saying the NES PF or CF as it now is would allow us to do that. We know that now. And so it is possible for us to progress the next steps if that's the conclusion that we come to.
Just through you, Mr. Chair, and possibly for Aditya, and just to update, we have had discussions about where to from here on this district plan changes itself, because we were sitting relatively tight in relation to resource management reform as well. So it was another reason, quite independently of the forestry one particularly, but it's actually the same issue. But there has been some further progress being made, and there is an expectation that we'll do some homework and make some calls and then bring them back to council. And this would be one of the matters to be part of the decision making in terms of whether we proceed with district plan changes, the costs associated with the program itself. So Aditya and I have had that discussion, and the team and advisors will be working on what that means and what we should be bringing back, and whether there's a prioritisation sort of process. So we're sort of restarting the whole. Should we do some do some work, and what should we do some work on in relation to district plan change?
Councillor Herbert, did you have a question? No. Catherwood?
Yes, through you. So just might be for Craig or someone, just the example of Shelton Wind Farm on Fast Track Consenting Act 220. Is the fast track, is that getting rid of public consultation, or is it just the council that's consulted, or they just go through with it?
I can answer that if Olivia and Aditya are happy for me to. It fundamentally does. The Environmental Protection Agency sort of help oversee processing of the fast track consent that's considered by the expert consenting panel. The council's involvement generally is that they get to nominate one of the commissioners, one of the hearings panel commissioners, to be involved. It doesn't go down the normal notification process pathway. What happens is that the EPA identify persons who are potentially affected, and it invites them for comment. So it kind of refers to them as persons invited for comment, and fundamentally those persons are able to make a submission on the proposal. Usually from what I'm aware of, and the process might set this out specifically, but the resource consents are sort of heard on the papers, and that there's normally no formal hearing. The hearings panel consider it sort of behind closed doors or at their respective desks, and they issue minutes, and the process is sort of very clear in terms of how it works, and they seek advice from certain people, but that's sort of fundamentally how it works. So you need to be somebody who's sort of been nominated to be able to have comment, and I'm sure they kind of go around to the adjoining neighbours or interest groups, and then those people can do that. In terms of the council's role, the council have in these processes, the council also have an advisory role where they're invited to make comments as well. And normally, from what I've seen with other councils and projects in other districts, the councils sort of generally get relatively stuck in and sort of work with the applicants to really draft up conditions frameworks, and also do sort of the same effects assessment and sort of objectives and policies assessment of their district plans, and if they need to, they also engage specialists, like perhaps a noise specialist or an ecologist if they think it's important. But fundamentally the process is relatively curtailed compared to a normal resource consent.
Sorry, I'll just ask the question. Additional, Craig, does the council get reimbursed for its costs associated with that process, or are we wearing it?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think if you do, it's through the applicant and not through the EPA. I know that the EPA recover their costs, but I'm not quite sure of that status, and that's probably something we can, Aditya and Olivia and I can find out.
If I can also do use share, in terms of the cost for us, having a look at the Stoughton Wind Farm, we have been cost recovering through that. So that means that we've got a purchase order number, and Craig's assisting us for Craig's times and cost recovered, so it's neutral for this particular one anyway.
So it'd be fair to say that proposed project that'll in the Clifford district would be heading for a fast track consenting process?
I wouldn't make that assumption at this stage. We really truly do not know.
Thank you. Further questions, councillors? No further questions. I'll ask. Got a mover? Receive this? Yep, thank you, councillor Ludeman, and seconder, councillor Herbert. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much, Olivia.
Thank you, everybody.
Great.
On Zoom.
Yes, and on Zoom. Thank you very much. Okay. Item number 3, Peter. Here we are. Welcome, first. Peter. I'm just going to hand it right over to Peter.
Thank you. Most of the report I'll take as read, although I'll take the opportunity to introduce and welcome Cara Stedman. Cara has joined us as Senior Policy Advisor in the policy team. So I might leave it there and we share the question.
Councillors, any questions for Peter? Straightforward then. We've got somebody who's prepared to move. Thank you, councillor Herbert. We've got a seconder, councillor Graham. All those in favour, please say aye. Any questions? Okay, so carried. Thank you very much, Peter.
Got off easy, Peter. Thank you.
Yeah, too easy. Long day. And finally, item number 4, prepared by Wendy. So Wendy, would you like to speak to your report?
No, I'll just take it as read.
I'll move it, Mr. Chair.
Who said that?
Me.
Oh, Your Worship, and go seconder and councillor Cathwood. No discussion? All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Just the meeting, and we'll just declare the meeting closed.
Stop it. Okay, good afternoon and welcome to the Corporate and Property Committee meeting. Firstly, apologies, we have got one councillor Finch.
I'll move that.
Second, councillor Payne. Declarations of interest. I actually had. Oh, sorry, that was a good idea. No, we didn't. Oh, no.
All those in favour.
Those in favour? Against?
And Madam Chair, I know you're looking for efficiency, but could we just take it easy on Sonia and go at a considered pace?
All those in favour?
Declarations of interest. I actually have got one in that I'm on the management committee for the Clutha Rec Centre, so I should note that. Any urgent business? Public forum? Okay. Agenda item 1. Rates remission bill, Clutha Community Garden.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
So this has been sort of been bandied around for quite a while. There's been quite a lot of contact from quite a lot of different parties questioning how they could go about applying for this, and it's quite an extraordinary situation in that the land is owned by a person who allows them to use it for free and who's historically paid the rates on it. And so he's now looking at sort of winding down a little bit and quietening down a bit in life. So he has given them permission to request a rates remission on his behalf. So if you have any questions on this, I will answer them.
Okay, questions, please. Councillor Catherwood.
Just to clarify, so he's paying a total of 2912. It's an empty property, is that correct? It's an unused dwelling.
Madam Chair, yes, it is. The community garden people use one room in the dwelling. It has a sink, and if they take, there's no power, so if they take a wee cooker, they can use a pot to make a cup of tea. But it's not really habitable. There's no electricity.
So they could have, so that property owner could apply to not use the services and pay a half rate of those services, is that correct?
Through Madam Chair, I think it is, but you'd have to get them capped at the, is it correct? So you have to get them capped at the, so you wouldn't have water at all. They do have a toilet, actually. Yeah, they have a toilet and a sink that they use.
So they're utilising our services, the water, sewer.
Yes.
The stormwater. Ends up paying a full rate. Okay.
Mika Dogan, you had a question?
Yeah, if I could just, as a local resident, so the section that we're talking about for those that, it's got, I think it was Auntie Rose's cottage or Rose Cottage. It's well over 100 years. It could possibly be the oldest dwelling in Balputha, and consequently it was marginal when it really be let out of the flat. But beyond that, and when Denny first did it as an act of generosity, see a little of this gardening now going to step up to the mark. Well, they've stepped up to the mark and more. They've done it all, and then I can see that he's retired. Gone into his dotage, and thanks very much for the generosity to give Balputha a garden, but we're going to take $3,000 off you. I, as a Balputha ratepayer, would rather give, like, let's all put in $3 each, rather than we expect one pension can do it for us and we'll just slip the noose on that one. I think it's a great idea, and after 7 years, they've proved their salt. They're there for long term. So what do we want? And we want a facility in our community, or no, it's not standard because of Demi having been generous right at the start. In more than 7 years, we would have never been in this place, but it's evolved. And the last thing I'd like to see is that we could boodle the garden, we roll up all the raised gardens and everything else and send them on their way. Well, that's not the type of community cohesion and development that we're wanting as a council.
Councillor Herbert.
Can I just get a clarification, please, on it? Recommendation 2 talks about 100% rate remission, and if we scroll down to number 4, financial impact, 100% rate remission is the balance of $1,533. So are we deciding on 2,912, or are we deciding on 1,532?
Through Madam Chair, 1,532, because you don't remove water away.
Yeah, that's right. So that's because they're connected to still paying. So, so they will still be paying, huh?
Yeah. What I mean, John.
Yeah.
And that's fair enough too. The sewage is.
Yeah, I wasn't messing with that.
Well, one pension pays for it. I have all of those Balputha chip. It's not a
I'm happy to move recommendation 1 and 2.
Seconder, please.
Yeah, happy to second.
Right, so that, and recommendation 2 is that.
Sorry, Madam Chair, did you identify for Sonia who the seconder was?
Ian.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Sorry, yeah, that does.
It does, I thought, yeah.
Okay.
Does grant.
Yep.
For grants 100%.
Yes.
1,532.
Grants. Okay, open for discussion, councillor Payne.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Look, I actually wanted to further this discussion and just wonder whether there's some advice we can give them on community funding. Is there something available that we can direct them to as well? Because like his worship, I totally agree with this. This is a great thing. They do it for nothing. They spend lots of time there. Fantastic for the community. So if we could advise them somewhere else to get some money to help that out as well, that would be great.
Councillor Barron.
Oh.
No, you're all right.
Oh, sorry.
You go.
My question was, Colin Dempsey has retired and one day he may want to sell that land. Should we does the Clutha district not have any vacant land that they could look at moving community gardens to Clutha district land? Where they control the rates, blah, 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 and all the rest of it. It's gonna happen one day, isn't it? And would it be an appropriate time to, I don't know whether this is we're voting here, but should we end that?
I mean, I guess that's a discussion that we can have. One comment I would make is I think Danone actually helped cut in a lot of the soil, and there's been a lot of community goodwill to get it to the stage it's at. So if we were to shift it, but that's a different.
Madam Chair, some of the councillors might recall, we had a submission on additional community garden, and out of that, we had the same question, which was where might land be made available appropriately for gardens, and we just set up staff to work with that submitter. I'm not sure what the end result is, but there's active program in place. I haven't been advised of the result yet, but there's an active program in place to work to find to meet an additional garden.
Not that one.
No, this was at the time it was just additional through you, Madam Chair. But it would actually still be the same question, councillor. Where would you go?
Yes.
Councillor, would you have a question?
Yeah. Well, I'd like to make a comment, actually, as my recommendation. So, good on Colin, well done, and awesome, totally accepted. You're giving 100% rates remission, so privately owns some land, piece of scrubby dirt, it's paying rates on it. Let's give it to the community, garden on it, come to council, 100% permission. I'm going to support this, but we are opening ourselves up to potentially tin of worms, actually. Because I know what it's like to own land that you don't utilise and pay rates on. Yeah, if someone can wangle away someone else to dig a garden for 7 years, I'd probably fall for that. He's done it. He's done his time. Oh yeah.
Councillor Graham.
Yeah, it's just
I'm
sitting
sort of
president.
half-fired with Councillor Cathal with this. Is a retired gentleman in Milton who is turned his garden into a community garden. Is he going to be? Could he be given the same courtesy?
Yep.
Well, through you, Madam Chair, I mean, the whole point is you have discretion, and that's why staff don't make that decision. We bring it to you, and there is a policy around things that you are fine. We're not saying that you're going against policy, just saying that you have that discretion as to when you apply.
So I have got a motion on the table. Is there any further discussion? Guards? Councillor Martin.
Through you, Madam Chair, just after being at the waste management planning workshop the other week, so what happens to all the waste that's on the property that comes into the gardens? We all know veggie gardens carry a significant amount of waste. Do they compost it on site, or is it going in wheelie bins, or?
I believe they compost it. Everything. They might sell it to you.
I just thought that might associated costs.
Any further discussion? If not, I'm going to put it to the vote. recommendations 1 and 2 that, the Cooperative Property Committee grants 100% rates permission. So all those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? So anybody against that want for it to be recorded? No, okay. Okay.
Just remind them of the other chair.
Still paying for
I think
it.
the rules changed, if we had to record. We had to record who were to vote.
And we're gonna different.
Oh, nobody voted.
Yeah. Thank you, okay, item number 2, the Quaker Rec Centre accountability report. I'll ask Nolene and Simon to come up and speak to the report, please. Weird, thanks, Simon. I'll just introduce Simon Cullen to those that don't know, and Nolene Scott.
Thank you. Yeah, I've just taken over as chair of the Cross Recreation Centre Committee. Yeah, firstly, I'd just like to say thank you to the council for your ongoing support of the Cross Recreation Centre. It's much appreciated. And I'll just quickly pick out a couple of points from our accountability plan. Yeah, so our existing, just in the past year, our existing strategic plan came to the end of its term, and we managed to secure some funding from the development to engage the Commute digital creative agency to complete a brand strategy for us, and that was yeah, very worthwhile. Or it's actually still ongoing at the moment, but yeah, it's really given us a clear direction for the future. And yeah, a couple of things that came out of that was the possibility of the Clutha District Councillor being appointed to our committee officially. We currently have Alison Ludeman in a private capacity on the committee, which is awesome to have. But yeah, we're sort of respectfully asking that the mayor might consider appointing a councillor permanently to our committee. Just because we believe that'll sort of benefit both parties on going into the future, and yeah, really help us sort of align what we're doing with what where the council wants to go in terms of economic development strategy and living and working in Clutha strategy. Yeah, it's sort of one of the things that came out of that strategic plan. And another point was that just going into the future, we need to consider long-term what the wider community's needs are going to be for space and facilities for recreation. Few of our larger users at the recreation centre at the moment are sort of becoming quite constrained by space, so we really need to consider their needs going into the future, and we're sort of at the moment trying to get some funding together to get a feasibility study going, so look at what we might do in terms of expanding in the future. And lastly, yeah, our building and compliance costs and insurance costs are going up, as everyone's asked. In the last couple of years, they've gone up fairly dramatically. So yeah, we really appreciate the annual operating grant we get from the council, and just hopeful that yeah, that'll continue and be continued to adjust it for inflation, and potentially might be a small increase on top of that. Well, possibly, yeah. So yeah, that's just a quick summary of the report. If there's any questions, yeah, more than happy to.
Any questions for Simon, please?
That's really Madam Chair. Steve, what's the process if we were to appoint? Because it's a formal under my delegation, but I've always just happened to been there. Put a new one on.
That's it's just a report to council. There's a delegation change in terms of that.
And we can do it midstream?
Oh, absolutely.
Are we able to do that then?
Yes.
That makes sense to me.
Probably be something we'll add into the new year.
Yeah, it's just. give Alison an official title.
Councillor Payne.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Welcome, guys. Hey, look, I just want to actually clarify what a small increase is. I'm laying it back on the table. Yeah. What does that look like?
I guess we think like 10 to 20% extra on top of what we've been receiving.
Thank you.
Would you want that formally structured that's on down, so like, attach it to, the benchmarks, KPI, something, rather than come back this year to 10 and then next year you have to come up with another figure and go through the process again? That we, because you've stayed the same as you've always been. Okay.
It's inflation adjusted.
That's inflation.
It is inflation adjusted.
Well,
Yeah.
Last
Forever, it was the same, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Councillor Barron.
You, the chair, just a question about heating of the cross recreations. How is that heated?
The sports arena is not heated at all.
It's not heated.
There's no,
body heat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would the
It's not
heating-
insulated.
Oh, it's not insulated.
That time, but the rest of it's heat pumps. The meeting room facilities and office spaces and stuff.
Has there been discussions about insulating or heating or?
Yes, we won lotto.
Other than the cost, would it attract more users to the centre if it was insulated and heated?
I think you would need to look at the floor surface to attract different people, like the likes of, say for netball example, we could never have the steel in that arena floor surface if it had good enough quality. So you'd probably look at the floor surface before you look at the heating. That'd be my suggestion. It could be nice and close to warm, but you wouldn't perhaps increase a lot. You might increase spectators, because I imagine in winter, there's a lot of grandparents and stuff that don't come because it's cold.
Yeah, I don't think the temperature's an issue for people participating in sports generally. It's you're more spectators.
Yeah.
If you're not moving around, it's cold.
Yeah, very cold and concrete walls.
Thank you.
Councillor McAtemney.
Yeah, yeah, through the chair, I'm just curious as to, you mentioned possible expansion in, so which users are saying that it'll be too small?
Netball, South Otago Netball Centre have did a study through their clubs and players, and they've gone to a Friday night competition, which has been very successful, and so they've got teams adding, which makes it really difficult to fit the draw in. To finish at a reasonable time in the middle of winter, people like say from Lawrence or the Catlins trying to get home, leaving at 10 o'clock is just not really feasible. So it's trying to fit in their games.
So it's potentially a very big expansion.
Could be, yes. Also, the gymnastics club are quite tight with their space. The fitness gym, with the way that fitness training has changed to be more dynamic. They're really restricted with ceiling space as well as floor space. So yes, it could be quite substantial. Depending on what a feasibility study would provide. And
Councillor Boldwheeler.
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. Just, you've mentioned the flooring there about possibly replacing it. Is that through just through wear and tear, natural wear and tear, or is that really to accommodate different users?
Yes, there will be wear and tear, so we will have to look in the short, in the future to replacing that floor, but it would be like for, say, when I was talking about the steel netball team, it would need to be a sprung wooden floor.
That would, if it was a sprung, that would restrict
Other
other
sports,
users.
yes. Yeah.
Would you do just part? Well, perhaps, yeah, without giving too much here, but would you do just part of that?
Yeah. Probably something we think about in this feasibility study, but like probably the floor we've got at the moment is probably its most general purpose as it can be, so you can get as many different types of things in there, like drive vehicles and things inside if you need to. And yeah, a wooden sprung floor probably really restricts what it can be used for, so it's something I'd have to be quite careful about considering doing it.
Councillor Graham?
Through you, Madam Chair. The floor that's in there is quite pricey from memory.
Oh, I imagine it would have been at the time. when I-
I think it was initially when it was initially built, the floor was not installed correctly or something. I wasn't around at the time, but yeah, that had to be replaced after it was initially installed. So
I
think
believe
it
that was free of charge.
But that was, yeah, it's because it was installed incorrectly. But yeah, I don't think it's a cheap exercise, replacing the floor.
Mika Dagan?
Yeah, no, I mean, early days of the note, looking, I believe, but the cash flow seeing as the all that room up was used, since the deployment hours opened up, and you finding that there's a drop off for you to the cash flow.
Not as yet. Yeah, but I've envisioned maybe going forward, that could be something that we'll have to look at, yeah. Yeah, but we do have we offer different rooms and spaces as well, so.
Nice.
Yeah, I think we kind of, hopefully we'll be able to work together.
It's almost a part of the strategic direction that we're looking at, the whole idea. I mean, two facilities need to be able to work hand in hand, really.
Yeah, yeah, and I did, on the open day, did communicate with the new manager there that we would, and once she settles in, that we would get together and work together and make that communication and the relationship building going forward.
Councillor Barrett?
Yeah. What percentage of income is donations or sponsorship versus operational income from users?
I haven't got a specific percentage on that, sorry, but I would guess maybe
Sponsorship.
Yeah. We don't get a lot of donations as such anymore. A lot of the donations come through right at the start when the building was first being.
The list of people under this income expenditure graph, do they donate or do they sponsor on this report? Do they sponsor?
The expenditure.
New World, Clifton Motors, Cowley Electrical, Shan Thompson.
Oh, yes, yeah. So that's a lot of our sponsors, and then getting down further, then more our high users and tenants. Yeah, and yeah. The different levels, yeah. So yeah, we're very grateful of what we can get from the community and support we receive that way.
Any further questions for Nolene and Simon? Oh, okay, there's a recommendation now on page 7 that we receive the report. Do I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Fouts, Councillor Graham. Any further discussion? Okay, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you very much. Okay, further development, quarterly report. Linda. All yours.
Thanks for the opportunity to be here to report on the quarter. Just noting that this quarterly report is to the end of September, and we're 2/3 of our way into the next quarterly report. I take the report as read. If you've got any questions, just noting a couple of things within there, especially around the attraction and retention, where we looked at having a bit of a strategy and a marketing plan about what that would look like going forward. So based on some of the pilots and activities that we have run over the last 12 months, we've put together the document that was linked to in the report. And we will look to activate some of those recommendations next year, calendar year. It's pretty much for us, it has been business as usual as we move into this next financial year. One of the things was that during that time we have transitioned and moved into Tacoma. So we're now a tenant in the co-working space.
with that transition. We moved it at the end of August. It's a great space to be in, and we have actively supported the operational team as they transition into making that facility functional. And also with the work that we're doing around economic development and business development, there are lots of opportunities for us to explore as an EDA to be able to bring other services and support and partner with others to look at ramping up what we can offer to our businesses across the district. And for those of you who attended our AGM, we did have a guest speaker there from Halstead from Invest South, and she's also a board member of Coin South as well. So there's some potential partnerships around business startup and business investment opportunities as well that we can look into going forward as well. Now, one of the other things that we've done from an organisational perspective is that we've got a new strategy document, and also with the transition to our new home, we're going through a recruitment process now to bring the team back up to its full capacity, which we hope we will have in place by January as well. And one of the other things within destination management, so within our destination management activities now, we're focusing on the 4 projects that we've highlighted in the report, but I just wanted to give you a glimpse. So it's all about developing product for our district and product that our visitors can buy. And so with Gabriel's Gully, this is a prototype, and it's being installed, the map box is being installed tomorrow, and then the museum is a map and digital guide that is going to be for sale. So it's an interactive guided tour of the area that you access through the QR code on your phones. So not only does it provide you with history of the area and a guided tour for each of the key areas, and I think there's 7, you can stand in front of them and you can view and watch a video of what it used to look like at that particular time in history. So this is a pilot for us in selling this product to our visitors, and also showcasing Gabriel's Gully and bringing it to life as well. So if you've got any questions,
Questions for Linda, please. Councillor Martin.
Through you, Madam Chair, I'd just like to thank Linda for the good work her and her team have done, engaging with the Lawrence community and the community board and the local museum and so forth, and really getting this technology up and running. I think you'll find it's going to be a game changer, and I can see it being applied to a lot of the other areas of the CDC. So leading the charge, I believe. Well done.
It is a pilot in the best for New Zealand. So we'll take that one.
So what's the cost for it?
So we're selling these at $35.
The local councillor gets one for free.
So it's QR code.
Yeah.
You stand at the site.
Yeah. And
if you follow that and then go to the site and scan the QR code at the site.
yes, it does. It does. And it tells you where you should stand to get the best view and the best commentary. Yeah. Yeah.
Mika Dogan.
Let's get that like a few years ago, Councillor Mel. And you're going to wear the glasses and that. Is that what that is? Or you just look at it on the phone?
You use your smartphone.
You're looking at it on your phone.
Yeah.
Right? Who did it?
It was done through Locales, who did the destination experience plan for Lawrence. And they're also doing some work with Te Poma around bringing our cultural story and heritage to life as well.
No. Can what does it sort of cost?
The total project cost from way to go, 95,000.
Cheaper than a basketball court.
Yeah, but they've got to get their $35 back. Then it'll be cheaper than basketball.
Okay, any more questions? Thanks for the report. Appreciate that. Okay, there's a recommendation. Page 12. Councillor Herbert moved, seconded please, Councillor Prout. Any further discussion? Those in favour, please say aye. Carried. Maybe B.
Good, otherwise, probably be here again, and I know you've had a really long afternoon, so if you could just take our activity report is brief, we've had a very busy couple of months, as you can see by our visitor numbers. Including the loans have reached over 1,000 people, which really library. So we're talking a big community engagement, which is really, as you read, especially at the beginning where I talk about collective impact, community engagement is really our focus and priority to continue to build that and build relationships. So I have to take an instance.
Any questions for Debbie on her report? You laughed lightly, okay. Thank you. There's a recommendation there on page 22 that we receive the community library report. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Wheeler, seconder. Councillor McCrosty. Any further discussion? Those in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Thanks. Carried. Page 36. Greg, you're going to talk to the management account report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Praise away for the day. Thank his reasons.
I'll just make one comment, Madam Chair. The employee entitlements, you'll see, are quite high compared to budget. Trying to read it properly. Trying to figure where we are.
Yeah.
Over, yes.
Page 38.
That's what I was looking for. I knew what the answer was going to be, but I actually didn't have it in front of me, so I was just getting in front of that one. But the employee benefits, you would expect to be above, and I think the accounts last year showed we first time that we were over. We've always been under historically every time. But this is just reflecting the costs of bringing in the new activity when we're not budgeted for the new activity. So all these new employees that are working in Three Waters and all that, obviously this year's budget didn't include all those. And so you will naturally see employee benefits being the salaries and over budget, because the budget doesn't cover it. But I just want to highlight.
Right. Any further questions? Okay. There's a recommendation on page 36 that we receive the management account report. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor Bolwheeler, Councillor Payne. Any further discussion? To the vote, all those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Investment portfolio report, page 39. There you go.
Madam Chair. Yeah, just an update for the month of October. Budget results. UK measured and stuff with them. So that our results in the year-to-date period return of 4.49%. This is coming to UK. Questions?
Any questions for Greg on the investment portfolio? We discussed this. Okay, recommendation on page 39 that we receive the investment portfolio update. Do I have someone to move that, please? Councillor Herbert, Peter Corrigan. With a discussion to the vote, all those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Page 42. Development properties update report.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just a couple of things to mention. Right over to the development properties, 32 and 34 St. Street. You can see it soon. So far, speakers, solicitors, soon. Sterling and Rosebeck Terrace subdivisions. Recent against Rosebeck Terrace one. Okay, to 8.
I would just make a comment here. We're not actually doing any work in Sterling. That would have been the cost to purchase and to do the consents. So no, we're not doing activity with that. Coming back to you, it's just sitting there strategically. But obviously, Rosebeck Terrace is happening, so you can see that. I have nothing moving on Keithmore yet. I'm just waiting. We're still waiting to see whether the landowner wants to progress. So it's in their court and ours. Otherwise, no other real comment.
Mika Dogan.
For you for Ken, to Steve. Steve, when are the sections of here going to come on the market? Yeah, the actual full sale something.
The end of the first quarter next year.
Yeah.
Would be a guess.
And
we have done it before we finish.
So we're expecting we just put it out like we do to all the real estate agents. They come back with a proposal, they go away and do it, or are we doing it in the house, or what's it? And we sort of talked about.
Well, no, we have done it before where we've gone out to real estate agents to try and spread the opportunity, and there's only ever been one real estate agent that's come back with that's something in the discount sense, and they provide a particularly good service for the last intensification where we hold 100%. You know, we save some money because of the discount, and so I hadn't really intended to do anything. I'd probably use that same outfit subject to same sort of plans.
Councillor Graham.
Through you, Madam Chair. Correct me if I'm wrong, or I might have been asleep when I was deciding. But we bought Sterling, the land at Sterling, before we bought this place out here.
Yeah.
No.
So we've always owned this place out here.
So why did we develop here before Sterling? Was there a greater need for it here, or is it just a call we made, or?
So when we did the report for Sterling, we just identified it was a strategic purchase, and the land was being made available, and there was always going to be a decision as to whether we should, when we should be doing it. I just haven't brought that question to you, and part of that will probably be, how quick is the take up with this one, it was always intended that this one was before Sterling, just that we bought that strategic. And we'll get an idea, like if there's a huge take up, like we had in the intensification, and we've got nothing else online, then it would put pressure on to say, hey, we better get moving with Sterling. So, but that would be a good system, because we're not, doing something in advance of the market. We'll be doing it with knowledge of the market. So that's a suggestion, is that when we, we're not really losing anything, we wait till the quarter. If we start marketing it, if we get, 100% subscription like we had for the other one, I'd be coming back to you and saying, I think we need to get moving on Sterling, because there's no other options again moving forward.
Yeah. Any further questions, Councillor Bounce?
Yeah, just for the Madam Chair, just on Sterling again, Steve. I thought there was some sections there quite easily subdivided. That was sort of indicated in the early discussions. Is that still possible, or is that work is still to be done, like this subdivision titles?
That is correct, and we've had some interest with some of those front sections, but the issue was that we really need to just progress the complete consent process. And I think, you know, that's the thing that perhaps will start relatively early next year, is just to get the paperwork done for the consent. Because until you've done that part of the process and get the title to develop it, you can't actually sell anything. So whatever I do, it's a subdivision. So that's just slowing that bit down. There's people now, effectively, you know, we have arrangements for, we've done one back section, and there's others that want a couple of front sections. Basically done agreements that they'll be buying it, and they're acting as if they've bought it, but we just haven't been able to progress it because we haven't got the consent and the title.
Councillor Payne.
Thank you, Madam Chair, through you. Steve, just a question, just any feedback from the potential private developers over the back here? Is there anything, any noises from them or that you can share? Yes.
That's really mentioned. No, I mean, we had good contact. We've advised what's happening. I mean, I think when you look at the cost, there'll be an interesting question. When you look at the costs that we're going through and what we have to sell the sections for, or cost, there may be some issues with a private developer picking that up. And so, you know, extend that out if you wish around where might that lead. So we always said we were opening the door to it, but those are private decisions, and you know, there's some significant issues with cost escalations that, you know, we've been able to say, well, we believe we can make it work because we don't have to pay tax and we don't need a profit. But private development might have a different view of that. And then there'll be different questions. So you know, I would be expecting perhaps conversations once we come through. Again, we need to know how marketable the sections are at the prices we're talking about. Because those are the sort of prices that we have to do, and they're still cheap compared to other places in the country. But it's a quantum shift from Plantation Heights. It's a shift upwards again from Plantation Heights intensification. So you know, if you were a private developer, you're probably wanting to see how has that gone in terms of marketing before you committed to those sort of costs. I would fully expect that would be the prudent approach that the developer would do. So I think there'll be discussions.
Yeah, I mean, it was certainly some of the appeal when we were thinking about it and kind of throwing it, the private developers tag on afterwards. But no, thanks for that.
Well, one has started over the back.
There's lifestyle as opposed to Rosewood Green, but that's not the same as the ones you're talking about, which is the residential.
Any further questions? Right, it's a recommendation on page 42 that we received the development properties update report. Someone be below. Councillor Hurtart. Councillor Volheiler. Any further discussion? Vote, all those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Corporate finance team report. Thanks, Greg. Sharon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, so this is just outlining what the finance team has been up to, and as you can see, the word Ibis Breeze is in here an awful lot. So that is our new budgeting system that we have been implementing. We're going to have it in and numbers out and everything within 2 months, so I think the team's doing pretty good there. So that's been sort of our big focus in that area. Other than that, I'd also like to introduce you to Sonia, which I should have done at the start of the meeting. So this is Sonia, she's our new corporate service and policy administrator. She'll be doing the minutes. Lily's here ably helping her. So thank you again, Lily. Yeah, other than that, our focus, of course, is on budgets and long-term planning at the moment. Yeah, other than that, I'll take it as read and it's really no.
Any questions for Sharon, please? No questions. Okay, recommendation there on page 46. to receive the corporate finance team report. Someone prepared to move, councillor Bouts. Councillor Hoover. You wake up. Any further discussion? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Okay, Lily. Community Support and Development Advisor. This is a new report from a new person. Well done. Come on, let's hear it.
For you, Madam Chair. So yes, this is a new report, but it's basically just covering some of the things that I was doing as Corporate Services Administrator. It's kind of just sticking with me until we get a new administrator as part of the SARS restructure.
Well, as part of that split of the service delivery.
Yeah.
Which we promised you the new structure, which you will get.
So I mean, as well as that, with that, the Community Support and Development Advisor report's also coming out of what you would normally see at the council meeting under the Chief Executive report. So we've just done a bit of a flip and put it into here going forward. So I've just done a bit of what I've been up to, and if there's anything else you'd like to see that you think I should be putting, let me know, but otherwise I'll take it as read. Answer any questions.
Just got one question, Lily. With the District Youth Council positions, do the schools actually put the representatives through, or can somebody actually approach his council if they want to have their name put forward, if there is students still at school? How's it done?
Yeah, so previously I just changed it. It had been a nomination form where they had to be nominated by a parent or teacher or something. Not necessarily through their school, but I mean they are a rep for their school, but it could just be anyone nominating them. And like I said, it was a hard copy version, so I've changed it to an application form as a bit of a I don't know, I guess strategic way to see if that would reduce any barriers to why I've been struggling to get interest. So I guess we'll see what happens with that, but
I find it, I mean, I think it's good because I've already had someone come, question, interested, so to speak. And so I did say to make contact with you, but I just wanted to get a bit of clarification around it to see how it was going. So no, thank you for that. Anything, Councillor Barron?
Two questions, Lily. The dog agility group that you're setting up, helping to set up.
Yeah.
Do they pay any rent to the AMP Society for the use of their premises for their training, or?
I can question that, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
I know that they have been in contact with all the people that use that specific ground. I presume the AMP Society is one of those who get to be using that ground, but like I said, I can ask. And
I was down there last night and they were there. They're new, I think they said they're new. The second question I've got is 7 completed registrations form for the Christmas parade compared to last year. Is that?
Okay, I guess an update. I mentioned. From start of this week, I've got 18 now.
18?
Yeah.
Oh.
I do a huge influx.
And compared to last year?
We had 19 last year, but I have, even though the cutoff date was last Friday, I still have had a couple emails the last couple of days asking if I could get a couple of people in the lineup. So potentially could end up being maybe 20.
That's good. Thank you.
Any further questions, please? Okay. Port Lily. Recommendation on page 49 that we receive the Community Support and Development Advisor report. Will someone move it, please? Councillor Kane. Seconder. Kennedy. Any further discussion?
One point. The traffic marshalling on the day, getting people to help. Is it all day, or can you go for 2 hours in the morning, or?
Definitely. Completely up to you. Sorry, for you, Madam Chair. If you let me know if you are available and what times we do, I can just kind of build a bit of a plan around, make sure I've got people covering the times you're out there, et cetera, et cetera. So.
Okay. You still need people on. Yes.
Okay, so we've got moving a seconder. For the discussion, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Yes. Carried. Close the meeting.